And we are live here at the Chronicle Telegram. Rocco, Jared Kozar with you guys on another Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Hey, a big thanks to all of our sponsors this morning and throughout the entire high school football season here on WEOL and the Chronicle Telegram. Our friends, of course, at Nick Abraham, Elyria Ford, Lorain County Community College. We appreciate them hopping on board here in recent weeks as well. Stewart's TV and Appliance. EcoTree Services, our official halftime sponsor, is Cobos Insurance Center on our Friday night matchup. So, again, really appreciate all of our sponsors hopping on board with us, not only today, but all throughout the high school football season. Certainly none of what we do is possible without them. Again, I'm Rocco. He's Jared Kozar here breaking down some Week 8 action. As you know, as the cliche goes, the playoff picture starts to take full effect now. And there were some playoff implications, I think, last night in our game, Jared, over at LaGrange. I know Columbia in their division and region, they're sitting pretty, but Keystone now, after the loss, they find themselves in a little bit of trouble, and kind of the theme across the county, right? Some teams starting to solidify those upper echelon playoff spots, while others, they're fighting just to get within that top 12.
And some of the storylines are going to present themselves, as you mentioned, Rocco. It'll be winning in games in the next 2 weeks. And it's just weird to think about it. Maybe the weather has something to do with it, but you're in a situation now, there's 2 weeks left in the regular season, and, it doesn't really feel like the start of fall yet.
No.
So, I think we used the term off camera and maybe during a meeting yesterday, it's getting late early.
Mm-hmm.
And that applies right now to some of these teams that are really jockeying for position. And, the new format of the 12 teams, I think, is hard to wrap your head around too, in terms of who's going to be where and what do you need to do to solidify that with just 2 weeks left to play.
Yeah, it'll certainly get very interesting very quickly here during these final 2 weeks of the regular season. So we're excited to see how this all kind of shakes out and breaks down. And a lot of our coaches this morning, like Kyle Clark at Black River, for example, big win for his guys last night. He'll join us at 9:30. He's for sure one of those guys with one of those teams that, they're going to need to perform these final 2 weeks to really solidify their playoff positioning. Bill DeFucci for Vermilion, they're continuing to fight for a spot. Ryan O'Rourke at Firelands, he'll kick off our 10 o'clock hour this morning. He's another one of those guys where, because of the brutal non-conference schedule, you're still in position given the new format to get in, but you got to take care of your business. And so far, so good for them in conference play. But again, you got to maintain that here down the stretch.
And part of it is you're dealing with high school athletes, as I'm sure these guys would make you aware. The computer ranking system, pretty difficult to understand sometimes. So if you're telling your guys, go out there, take care of what you can control and stack wins, which they're doing, it's difficult, I think, to get that across to the psyche of a high school athlete to say, well, we did everything you said, coach. We won 3 in a row, and yet we still found ourselves on the outside looking in. It's really tough at that point to have to deliver that message. Guys, we didn't make it. Sure. It wasn't because of effort. It was because this happened and this happened, a series of events that, just prohibited us from making it. It's just, it's a tough spot to be in right now.
Yeah, no question about that. So certainly looking forward to talking to our coaches here this morning. Mike Rice from Columbia, as the Raiders had a big 21-7 win over in LaGrange last night against Keystone. He'll start the show for us here in a couple of short minutes. Brian Morgan, Kyle Clark, and Cody Kea all set to join us as well here in this 9 o'clock hour. We'll also talk with our voice of our Stream 3 Medina County matchup, Michael Keefe. He'll look at last night's Brunswick-Medina game that saw the Blue Devils upend the Bees 35-7. As of course, we talk about the Lorain County playoff picture, but our Medina County schools certainly in the playoff hunt respectively as well. So without further ado, let's dive into our scores from last night, and I will kick things off here, Jared, with a couple of scores from the Lorain County League and outside of that as well. We can start actually in the GCC, as it was Strongsville over Lorain, 43-14. Made a typo there. 43-14 was the final there. Strongsville winners over Lorain. Brunswick upends Medina 35-7. You don't see that one on your screen, but that's interesting because Strongsville and Brunswick in that GCC, Jared, now both 4-1 in the conference, second behind Menor, who's undefeated at 5-0 in the conference. And, both the Mustangs and the Blue Devils will have to take care of business in week 9, but that ultimately leads, if they both win, to a fight for second place, essentially, in Week 10. Strongsville and Brunswick have a chance to both be 5-1 heading into their Week 10 matchup against each other. So I'm sure Mr. Keefe might have some more thoughts on that when we get to him later on in this 9 o'clock hour. In the Lorain County League, again, on our WEOL.com and Chronicle Telegram YouTube channel, game of the week last night, it was Columbia maintaining their perfect season. They knock off Keystone on the road at 21-7. We'll talk to Mike Rice about that in a couple of moments. Black River upends Brookside 42-0 as Kyle Clark and crew continue to fight for that playoff spot. Clearview over Oberlin, 40-7. The final there, another big win for first-year head coach Cody Kea, and it was the Firelands Falcons maintaining their playoff hunt. They knock off Wellington 44-7, the final there, and one North Coast Conference score to pass along here as well. It was Holy Name knocking off Elyria Catholic 24-7.
In the SWC last night, it was, well, and beyond a couple other things, but we had the Vermilion Sailors, big win coming from behind against Huron to come away with a 28-21 victory. Bill DeFucci will join us in the second hour talking about his team's strong second half. The Avon Eagles continue to roll, blanking the Comets of Amherst last night, 34-0. That really kind of puts a big dent in the Amherst Comets playoff hopes right now with just 2 weeks left to go. One of those teams we talk about that's going to find themselves in a crossroads here momentarily. It was the North Ridgeville Rangers, 31-14 winners over the Avon Lake Shoremen, another team that's going to find themselves in a rough spot when you think about where the Shoremen are at this year. Just an uncharacteristic campaign going on in Avon Lake. And the Midview Middies get the better of the Elyria Pioneers, 41-27. That score, Pioneers getting closer every week. Seems like they're putting a few more things together, but Midview's nice season goes along. They're a team that has playoff aspirations right now with a 41-27 victory over the Pioneers. And one other score in the SWC. How about the Bulldogs of Olmsted Falls? Tom DeLuca and company just wiping up Berea Mid-Park, 46-12. That was a game that was tied at 6-6 early. Tom DeLuca and the boys said not so fast and put some big distance between them and their foe, Berea Mid-Park. So, Bulldogs getting hot at the right time.
Yeah, no question. So there's some scores from last night. As today, no high school football, obviously, but we do have some college football at noon. Ohio State, number 1 in the country, on the road, taking on 17th-ranked Illinois. That is a noon kickoff. I think this is a matchup where a couple of weeks ago you were looking and thinking, okay, Illinois, given the status of their program this season, that could be an interesting one, but they got walloped by Indiana just a couple of weeks ago in one of those top 25 matchups, and that kind of makes me rethink how today might go for either side.
A couple of weeks ago, we caught up with Chris, and he gave us a lot of information on that game, and something I'm still sick to my stomach about. He mentioned Juice Williams.
Oh, yeah.
I thought to myself, the last time that a Buckeye team went into Champaign and, really was high-flying, Juice got him, and I'm like, oh, no, this is not going to happen again. Hopefully, he's not wrong about much. I hope that this was something that – and he never actually said that it was, trap game or anything like that, but you have to be prepared if you're the Buckeyes going into hostile territory against a team that's ranked in the top 20.
Well, and that was one of those early Buckeye football heartbreaks for a young Rocco Nuosci, as I thought, Ohio State was poised to just cruise on into the BCS national title game that season, and Juice Williams went ahead and said, well, phooey with that. You guys will be in the Fiesta Bowl instead, or whatever else they were in that year. So, again, Ohio State, Illinois, 12 o'clock kickoff today. Buckeyes on the road looking to keep things going as the top-ranked team in the country. And then the Cavs preseason continues tomorrow night. They're over in Boston, a 7 o'clock tip there. Cavs season, hard to believe, right? We get to the end of football season or towards the end of football season in hoops, just like that. It kind of comes out of nowhere, and it'll pick up here in a hurry.
Pretty close. Had the home and home with Chicago this week, and again, a road test over at Boston tomorrow night. But, that's the thing about the NBA preseason. It's over in a blink of an eye. It's just like you have training camp, you have four preseason games that happen over a 2-week span, and then it's fast and furious after that.
Yeah, it'll again pick up in a bit of a hurry here, as our good friend Tim Alcorn knows. He'll be busy with the Wine and Golders. Well, I guess he already is a little busy with those Wine and Golders as they continue through their preseason.
After your photo annex last night, I don't know if you can be considered friends right now. That friendship may be disengaged for a couple of weeks.
Maybe. For context, for those who have no idea what we're talking about, which is all of you, inside the Keystone press box, and I think this is really cool.
We could post it.
We could. It is. We could get it on the screen by the end of the week. We could do it. Inside the Keystone football press box, there's multiple clippings from the Chronicle Telegram over the years of different Keystone features and story recaps from some of their bigger wins and things like that. But also on that wall is a nice caricature. It was Bob Lynch, I think, who illustrated that.
Legendary.
He did tremendous work with it.
Yep.
It's an illustration again of Tim Alcorn as he was getting set to take the Cavs play-by-play job, and it has the whole thought bubble. Oh, this is my dream job, and it's a cool caricature of Tim, and it's posted right there inside the Keystone press box. So Ron Janssen and I gave it the old thumbs down and posed right next to it as Jared took the photo and then texted it to Tim. So I'm sure he was just
you're inserting my guilt as well. There it is. All right. Thank you.
Your idea. I'll throw you right under the bus for that. But no. So I see Mike Rice has joined us here at the bottom. So I'll tell you what, Coach, if you could give us about 30 seconds to a minute here for a quick sponsor, thank you. We'll get to you right when we return. Again, Mike Rice, head coach of the Columbia Raiders. He's up next after this timeout. It's the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Rocco, Nuosci, Jared Kozar live here from the Chronicle Telegram. We'll be right back after this.
At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford this month, you choose. Right now, get the Escape, Mach-E, Mustang, or Bronco Sport for only $399 a month with 0 down, or the Bronco, Explorer, or F-150 for just $499 a month. At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford, we make it that easy.
High school football in Lorain County is all about tradition, pride, and community, and that's what Stewart's Appliance is built on. For generations, Stewart's has been the family-owned appliance store you can count on for quality products and personal service. From refrigerators to washers, ovens to dishwashers, Stewart's has what you need to keep your home running. Proud to support Lorain County and proud to support high school sports. Stewart's Appliance, where community comes first.
Lorain County Community College is where you'll lock in your future success. LCCC will get you prepared, get you credentialed, and get you working. Lorain County Community College. Your goals, your career, your future. Enroll today.
Rocco Nuosci, Jared Kozar here back with you at the Chronicle Telegram for this morning's Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. And let's go ahead and bring on our very first guest of the morning, none other than Mike Rice, head coach of the Columbia Raiders. His guys still in first place exclusively in the Lorain County League after a big road win in LaGrange last night over Keystone, 21-7, the final score there. So, Coach, first and foremost, good morning. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to join us. We greatly appreciate it. And let's just start with that, right? I mean, obviously, last night there was a lot of hype, a lot of anticipation behind that matchup, and you guys leave LaGrange with, I'm assuming, what was a happy bus ride back to Columbia, 21-7 winners, still in first place in that Lorain County League. What does all that mean to you here on a Saturday morning?
Well, first, good morning to you guys as well. Good to be back, and thanks for having me on. Yeah, what a game! It was a fun game, fun atmosphere. I thought both sides. It was a physical football game, and both sides brought it. And those are fun games to be a part of. And yeah, it was a fun bus ride back home, and guys enjoyed it. And we're excited to be where we're at. And it's a good feeling. And I can't say enough about how we played last night. It was an all-around effort, great effort from everybody.
Well, Coach, you mentioned the physicality, both you and Coach Grizz over at Keystone throughout the week in our pregame talks. You guys were all about that, right? It's going to be a physical matchup tonight. It's going to be hard hitting. Bodies are going to be flying around the field, and that's exactly how it played out, like you said. And something my broadcast partner last night, Ron Jans, mentioned was the mental component of a game like that, right? You got to stay mentally composed and locked into what's going on. Is that what you saw from your guys, the ability to kind of overcome adversity and stay, kind of just mentally locked into what was going on?
Absolutely. The game started, we talked about last year's game, I think earlier in the week, and I talked to Ron about it, all the turnovers and the game kind of started the exact same way. They turned the ball over, then we turn it over right back to them. So there's absolutely a level of composure that has to happen when these negative plays happen. And then there were a lot of penalties, and there were a lot of breaks in the game, and the game lost flow at times. And so just to stay focused and stay in it, I thought Jose Rivera for us was the guy that kept all of our guys grounded last night. And it's a sign of growth for him. And, sometimes he struggled with that early in his career, but being an older guy, he really stepped up last night and keeping our guys composed in those moments.
Mike, you talk about those moments, those opportunities. Is that what separates a playoff team that has aspirations to win a conference championship from the guys that maybe can't get it done right now, is that their ability to capitalize on an opportunity, because there were times that game could have gone either way, and it seemed that your guys made the right adjustments and seized those opportunities. Ron Yance brought that up during the broadcast.
Absolutely. I mean, little details and little things are everything, and that is something we talk about and we work on all the time. And I do believe little things are the difference in winning football teams. I go as far as making sure our locker room looks nice, and taking care of the things that we have, because there's a domino effect to all those little things, and it carries over into Friday nights. And so absolutely, I think those are huge things for us.
So we walked in last night to LaGrange expecting to see the vaunted Columbia rushing attack and thinking we're going to see the Raiders run. And certainly that was an element of the game that gave you guys a lot of pace and composure. But we saw a lot of passing and just impressive routes that we didn't think maybe would develop in the way they did. Is that maybe a measure of you guys just being so familiar with Keystone and them being so familiar with you that a wrinkle was going to make sense for last night?
Yeah, and it's stuff we've been working on all year long, and kind of waiting for the right moments to utilize that. And we felt last night was the time to use some of that a little more than normal. And and it's a credit to them, because I don't remember the exact number of rushing yards we had, but I know it wasn't great last night. They did a great job, loading the box and stopping what we do, and keeping Xavier Hendon in check big time, and our quarterback. And so we kind of had to do that to open the game up a little bit offensively.
Yeah, I kind of joked on the broadcast, Coach. I don't know how many people would have had, a Columbia Raider 62-yard passing touchdown on their bingo card heading into last night's game, but sure enough. And I mean, hey, credit Wes Sanders, man. Jacob Russ, just a simple go route, got behind the secondary, and Sanders, again, to his credit, it was a beautiful ball, right in stride. I mean, Russ didn't have to break stride, and he was off to the races into the end zone. So, again, just kind of that diversity and the ability to hit opponents in different ways, even though, again, you run that not traditional, but you run the triple option more so than anything. But you guys can still sling the rock when you have to.
Yeah, and it's a credit. It's a credit to the line up front. It's a credit to Jacob, and he has to block a lot, week in and week out, and he has to wait for those moments, and to come up big in that big moment was awesome to see for him. And like you said with Wesley, I thought his first couple throws of that game were on point, and he even created one early on that goes a long way for loosening up a defense a little bit.
I want to, you mentioned the big guys up front. Let me ask you about the defensive front for you guys, because all night, I mean, they were getting after the football. I know the Keystone quarterback, Colt Cowling, he had a nice game, but he was under pressure a lot throughout the night, and I'm sure that took a toll on him and the rest of that offense. I mean, you hold Keystone to 7 points, and again, I think that defensive front was a large part of the defensive success for you guys last night.
Absolutely. They had, we talked about their big play capability, and they got one last night, and they had a lot of that on film, and we knew we were going to have to contain that. And as far as the pressure on the quarterback, what I loved about last night is it kind of came in two different ways, and a lot of it was created up front with some movement of the front, and then getting quick pressure on him. But I also got to give credit to the back end. There were times where he had nowhere to throw that ball, and because our back end coverage was on point, and then he starts scrambling and create. The back end created the opportunities for the guys to get pressure on a quarterback.
Mike, you're through 8 weeks now, and you're in the driver's seat. Just walk us through the process in terms of how it got to that point, dealing with some adversity. I caught up with Craig Bancic last night in the parking lot, and he and I had a conversation about, you're missing a ball carrier from last year that was supposed to be able to pace your team. You lose your quarterback a couple weeks in, and none of that's been allowed to be an excuse. And next man up is a cliche to a certain extent, but you guys are living that right now.
Yeah, and I think, speaking to Jimmy, I just feel horrible for him. Jimmy Stoffe, who lost his senior season, and he worked so hard to get there, and it breaks your heart to see a kid like that lose his season, especially his senior year. But we've got kids that have stepped up, and that's all you can say. Like, and a lot of it is the team coming together and basically coming together to pick up whatever we can, to pick up the pieces of what you can't replace Jimmy, you can't replace Logan, but you try and pick up whatever you can to make it go. And so far we've been able to do that.
Well, that's what this is all about, right? I mean, we can hear it in your voice. I mean, this is the emotion and the enjoyment I think that you coaches get from leading a team, right? Regardless of results, whether you're 8-0 or 0-8, right? Watching these young kids grow into young men and take the responsibilities on that they do, like so many guys for you, like a Wes Sanders. We talked about it pregame. Tough position for him to be in, to take over that quarterback spot, I'm sure, but we know it's one of those things where you probably wouldn't really ask him to do that unless you thought he was capable of doing it. And he's stepped up in a big way. And it's not just him. It's a lot of other guys on the roster as well. But again, I think that speaks volumes to the program you guys got going on over there. So
well, I appreciate it. I think it does. It does weigh on a kid like Wes because, just the mental strain we put on our quarterbacks is a lot, and for him to have to do that as well as play linebacker, it's a lot on him. So yeah, it's a credit to him, and the lineup front's been unbelievably good. They're really carrying the load and leading the way, and that's what we ask them to do.
Well, they've got you guys in a great spot here through 8 weeks. No question about that. So, hey, Coach, we'll let you go, but certainly appreciate the time as always here on the wrap-up show. Have a great rest of the weekend. Congratulations again on the win last night, and I'm sure we'll be catching up again here soon.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
You got it. That's Mike Rice, head coach of the Columbia Raiders, kind enough to spend some time with us here this morning on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. And you can hear some of the emotion in his voice there, man. And I think that's awesome, some of the rawness that you get from our head coaches. I mean, this isn't, you're not coaching, college ball, getting the big bucks and dealing with all the NIL stuff. And you're not coaching pro ball where it's, almost all about the money exclusively. I mean, this is just pure love, passion for the game of football, the willingness to go out there and put your body on the line each and every Friday night. And I think these coaches just respect the heck out of the kids that are able to step up and do what they ask them to do each and every week.
Well, and you think about a roster the size of Columbia.
Sure.
You're looking at maybe 40 kids.
Right.
And that's not anything bad about Columbia. That's your size, but you got 40 guys. And when you think you lose 2 key contributors like we just talked about, and I'm sure there's other guys that are banged up and, miss time from time to, but you're looking at a situation where I went from having maybe 38 guys on the roster to now 36, and some of them
It's a big difference.
I got to put them in key positions now. Huge.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So big thanks to Mike Rice for joining us here this morning. As always, we greatly appreciate his time. I see Brian Morgan has joined us in the queue, so I'll tell you what, we'll step aside, take a quick timeout, and when we return, we'll talk some North Ridgeville Ranger football with their head coach, Brian Morgan. He's up next right here. It is the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Rocco, Nuosci, Jared Kozar with you live on WEOL.com, also on that Chronicle Telegram YouTube channel. We'll be back.
Hi, Tim Elkhorn, radio voice of the Cavs. For several years, you've heard me talk about EcoTree Services on WEOL. Recently, I needed trees removed, so of course, I contacted EcoTree. They did an incredible job. The folks at EcoTree were timely, efficient, and the work was flawless. Take it from me. When your trees need attention or even require removal, contact EcoTree Services. Like me, you'll love their work. Find EcoTree Services online at ecotreeservices.com. Fall is the season of change, and when things change in your life, be sure you have the best protection for what matters most to you. At the Kobos Insurance Agency, we're committed to helping you select the best insurance to accommodate the changing needs in your life. That's why Kobos recommends Ohio Mutual Insurance Group. Since 1901, Ohio Mutual has been keeping the promises that secure dreams. Find us online at kobosins.com. We'd love to help evaluate your insurance needs and recommend the best coverage from the best companies like Ohio Mutual.
Rocco, Nuosci, Jared Kozar, but here back with you on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. We're live here at the Chronicle Telegram, and we'll just keep the line moving, shall we? It's Brian Morgan, head coach of the North Ridgeville Rangers, who, coach, I just, right off the rip, we got to start with this. You guys in onside kicks are becoming infatuated with one another. You use that again to your advantage last night over at Avon Lake en route to a 31-14 win over the Shoremen. You deployed onside kicks in previous weeks as well. So the element of surprise in your favor in recent weeks, hasn't it been?
Yeah, we're 5 for 5 right now on onside kicks and recovering them. And, you can attribute that to Finley Keller. He had a great offseason. He's been our punter since he's been a sophomore, but took over the kicking duties this year from Austin DeShazo. And we've got guys that are excited about it. We call them our shoulder guys, the guys that are supposed to stay on the outside shoulder of the returner. And, they're excited. They like to go and hit guys, 10, 15 yards downfield. And Finley puts that ball 11 yards every time he kicks it. He recovers his own. So it was definitely beneficial. We did 2 against Brea Mid-Park last week, back-to-back. And then this week we started out the second half that way and then scored on the next play. So it definitely helped us out this week.
Coach, is that one of those, and not to, harp on this too much, I guess, but is that one of those where, like you said, I'm sure the kids are excited when they know that, they're going to be doing that on the ensuing kickoff, especially coming out of halftime, right? But is that one of those where you got to kind of remind them, like, hey, maybe hide that with the body language, right? You can't really go out there overly energetic and give away what you're doing, right? You got to have an element of surprise still when you go out there for the kick.
Yeah, our shoulder guys are meatheads, so they like to point out, they like to point at their guys, and they like to know that there's the guys that they're going to go get. So I told them yesterday, you guys can't be pointing at the people you're about to go hit right before we do an onside kick.
Well, that's a good lesson for them, I think, right there. And just looking at the final, right? I mean, we can dive more into how this game went down, but 31-14, and I'm sure it was just kind of nice for you, Coach, right? With the heart palpitations of recent weeks that, coming down to the final play, basically in back-to-back weeks for you guys. Probably nice to have one where that wasn't the case, and you guys kind of, create some separation throughout the second half on that scoreboard.
Yeah, for sure. We actually, put ourselves in a hole in the first half. At the end of the first half, we were 1st and 10 from the 10, and a penalty here and a missed block there, and we don't get points. So, it kind of looked like it was going that way at halftime, and the kids did a great job of coming out and executing in the second half, and we just kind of ran away with it, but. You're right. My heart is healthier now because of a win that didn't come down to the last second. And I'm also a Avon Lake resident. And I told the kids before on Monday, I said, last year I didn't want to wear my North Ridgeville stuff to Giant Eagle. So make sure that I can wear stuff to Giant Eagle for the next 365 days.
Brian, you referenced last year, we were on hand over at your place, one of the better high school football games that I can remember on our air last year that we were a part of. Doesn't go your way, and it's a great kick at the end for Avon Lake to come away victorious. I got to imagine anybody that's familiar with you guys and your coaching staff knows the preparation that you guys go through. That's probably pretty tough for a guy like you to process, that you get walked off at your place at home on a, it wasn't a routine chip shot field goal either. You guys had probably felt like you earned the win in that one, or at least, a right to keep that one going. You leave no doubt last night. Was there a little bit of incentive in that one?
Oh, for sure. It's funny because, a lot of people were asking me, what do you think about this game? And one of the questions was, did Polumsky graduate last year? And, the kicker from Avon Lake that did it last year. Yeah. You don't usually hear that when the kicker's not usually the person that everyone's focusing on. And Reese's mom works at North Ridgeville. She's a teacher at North Ridgeville as well. So I always make comments to her that the best thing that happened to us in the off season was Reese graduating from Avon Lake High School.
Brian, you look at where your team's at right now. Basically, you're not in the driver's seat for the conference. Certainly, Avon has a lot to do with that, as they do every year. But you guys control basically your own destiny. You can be in a spot to host a playoff game and have a bye. Is this something where this team is a little bit further ahead of schedule than you thought maybe when you opened up the season?
We when you take a look at the schedule before the season starts, you think, you give a prediction. Coaches get bored and they get anxious, so they start giving predictions. And we thought that we had a chance of being a pretty good football team this year. The issue was the offensive line and the linebacker core, because that's the biggest group that we graduated last year. And last night we were healthy for the first time up front than we have been since week one. The guys that were our original starters were the ones who played the game, and they're getting better each week. So the injuries and all the things that happened throughout the season, we weren't 100% sure we were going to get to where we thought we were going to be before the season started. And the guys have just been working hard and grinding, and you can see it in their eyes now. I think the confidence is there. Cole Miller and Dylan DeShazo are playing at pretty high level right now. And that helps out that offensive line as well. So, as long as we can continue to improve every single week, we're excited about what's happening in North Ridgeville. And, we know that we play in the Southwestern Conference, and Amherst is, a great opponent. They're well coached, and I'm excited for the challenge this week.
Well, DeShazo, man, I'll tell you what, we can close with this, Coach. Heading into that Midview game a couple of weeks ago, the numbers for him certainly weren't gaudy by any means. Not that we didn't expect big things from him, but again, he didn't really have the numbers to match the kind of production that we've seen since then. Obviously, he had a big night that night, and he's, him and Cole, like you just said, I mean, those two, they've been pretty much on fire since that Midview game, and that's got to be something you're pretty excited to kind of see continue to develop and grow here during these final 2 weeks.
Yeah, with losing Zach in the Midview game, Dylan, both of his touchdowns came before Zach got hurt, but that was something that needed to happen, and he stepped up, and he's making plays now that we haven't seen out of a wide receiver slot receiver type of kid since I've been here. And he's when he gets the ball in space, he's fast and he can make guys miss, and he's a threat downfield, and it really stretches the field out for us, and gives Cole a chance to run and gives our other guys a chance to get open, because everybody needs to know where he's at.
He's an electric player to watch, no question about that. I've certainly enjoyed seeing him play this season. So, Coach, congratulations again on the win last night. Excited to see how these final 2 weeks shake out for you guys as you continue to fight for that playoff positioning. But thank you, as always, again for the time this morning. Have a great rest of the weekend, Coach, and I'm sure we'll be talking again here soon.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
You as well. That's Brian Morgan, head coach of the North Ridgeville Rangers, kind enough to share some time with us here this morning. As we'll just keep the line moving. We got our next two already in the queue. Kyle Clark will be first. Cody K, we'll get to you and the Clearview Clippers right after our conversation here with Coach Clark, as we'll bring him onto the stage. Head coach of the Black River Pirates, Kyle Clark, joins us. His guys upend Brookside last night, 42-0, the final score there. And Coach, I mean, I look at that final score and I read this morning's Chronicle Telegram story. A slow start, a lot of clock burning quickly in last night's ball game, and yet you guys managed to put up 42 on the scoreboard. So that's got to be an offensive performance I'm sure you're pretty pleased with here sitting on a Saturday morning.
Oh yeah, very much so. I felt like the kids executed very well, and hats off to Brookside. They came in with the game plan that they were going to chew up the clock as much as they could, and they did. I mean, I think they had over a 10-minute drive. One of those drives in the second quarter, and or I believe it was the first and second quarter. So that's tough for a high school kid, even coaches too. Like, you think you should be getting back on offense, and then they keep grinding on you, and it's tough for those kids to handle that. And I think they responded very well to it.
Well, the phrase we hear so often is bend but don't break, right? And you're right. It was, as I read here in the Chronicle Telegram, Chad Grant has the story, 18 plays, 56 yards, 10 minutes and 45 seconds. They took off the clock on that drive. So like you said, I'm sure that's kind of frustrating as a coach, as a player. It's like, man, we should be off the field by now. But I think maybe that speaks to the mental toughness of your defense as well, to kind of get pushed back like that, but still make a stand. And that ultimately, I think, helped shift the momentum in that one last night.
Yeah, I can't fault our kids at all for that, and they've stuck it in all year. They've been in a lot of tight games against some really good opponents, and they've never hung their hat. They've always came out the next play mentality, and so I've been really proud of the way they react to that situations like that.
And Kyle, when you talk about situations then reacting into, in your situation there, you're talking about an 18-play drive and you guys send them packing, but now you guys got to go back on offense, and a lot of your guys are going to be on that unit right when they take the field. So what about conditioning as you get into week 8 is going to be on the plate of some of these guys?
Well, I mean, conditioning is huge for us because I don't know if you've seen us live, but we only dress like 24 kids for the game. So we don't have the luxury of having a true scout team. All right, if our starters aren't in, they're running scout team. So they get every rep in practice, whether they're on scout team or they're on offensive starters, defensive starters, whatever it is, special teams. Those kids get every rep in practice.
Coach, I want to ask you about Zane Bungard breaking a record last night. What a school receiving record for touchdowns. Ends up with 8. I think he added one more. So what's he at, 9, I believe now?
He's at 10.
He's got 10. Okay, so excuse me on that. 10 touchdowns for Zane. And I mean, he's a kid we've talked a lot about throughout his Pirate football career. Zane Bungard, one of those guys that I think kind of embodies what your program is all about, right? And you've talked very highly about him as well. What does that mean for him? And I guess just you guys overall to kind of see him break that record like that and kind of put his name in the books.
I mean, it's pretty cool to see such a great kid get that achievement, because he works so hard and he's such a great kid off the field. I don't know if you heard about the story this past summer, but we had a team get together and one of his teammates drowned, and he actually dove in the pond, peeled him off the bottom, pulled him up on land, started CPR till all the coaches got there and gave the kid CPR. Just a testament to the kind of young man he is, and to see him do that and then now excel on the field. He's a special kid.
Yeah, I totally did not. Oh, I missed that story, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, so that's incredible from that young man. Obviously, like you said, on the field, that's one thing, but his off the field persona as well, clearly a high caliber young man. So that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Coach, as we kind of near, the closing stages of the season, obviously you got 2 more regular season games to go. You look at that playoff positioning. I know you guys as coaches never looked, too far ahead, but is that something you can maybe use as motivation here during these final 2 weeks, knowing that, in order to keep playing into, late October and maybe November, you're going to have to probably take care of business here during these final 2 games?
Yeah, that definitely is something that I know everybody's looking at. I'm sure everybody's talking to our kids about it. And we've had those conversations with our kids because they're impossible to avoid them and say, don't talk about them. So we try to have healthy conversations about it. We're right there on the brink of possibly making it now, because we haven't taken care of business the way we could have. We're right there. We kind of need some help from some outsiders, but obviously if we don't take care of our business these last 2 weeks, it doesn't even matter what anybody else does.
How hard can that be, Coach, with high school kids to keep the focus on you, right? I mean, I remember being a high school kid, your mind goes 85 different directions, and it can maybe be easy to get caught scoreboard watching. Maybe not as much with football since you guys all play on Friday nights together, but is that one of those challenges of being a high school coach, is you got to keep those kids locked into you guys and not really worry about any of the outside noise or extracurriculars?
It is. And some teams it's harder than others. I don't feel like it's very hard with this team because they're able to refocus pretty quickly. Now, I know we have our ups and downs every week. We talk about it in practice. We could tell when they're kind of losing focus a little bit. So we just got to reel them in as soon as we notice it and have those conversations and get them back on track. But they've done a great job at refocusing and living up to the challenge that we put forward.
Coach, there's no selection committee in this process. It's not like the NCAA. Certainly, we've talked about your non-conference schedule and the credentials that it boasts, and some of the teams you've lost to in conference. If you could make an appeal to say, hey, this is a case for why Black River should be involved in the postseason, what would it be?
Uh-oh, did we lose him?
I think we might have lost him.
Coach, you got us? Uh-oh. We may have lost Coach Clark. Well, that's no good. I still see him on the screen there, but may have lost connection. Yeah, may have. Let's see. Well, let's try this. Take him off the stage. Put him back on there. See if that changes anything. It does not. So that is a-okay. Well, man, that was a good question, though. I was excited to see what his answer might be. We're hanging in suspense. So we were going to get the elevator pitch for why Black River should be into the postseason, but I guess we won't get that. So that is a-okay. I'll tell you what, though. Let's take a quick timeout because I know Cody K has been waiting patiently for a couple of minutes. Now let's get one quick sponsorship thank you, and when we return, we'll talk some Clearview Clipper football with their head coach Cody K. He comes up right after this timeout. It's the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show here on WEOL.com and on that Chronicle Telegram YouTube channel.
Hi, Tim Elkhorn, radio voice of the Cavs. For several years, you've heard me talk about EcoTree Services on WEOL. Recently, I needed trees removed, so of course, I contacted EcoTree. They did an incredible job. The folks at EcoTree were timely, efficient, and the work was flawless. Take it from me. When your trees need attention or even require removal, contact EcoTree Services. Like me, you'll love their work. Find EcoTree Services online at ecotreeservices.com. Fall is the season of change, and when things change in your life, be sure you have the best protection for what matters most to you. At the Kobos Insurance Agency, we're committed to helping you select the best insurance to accommodate the changing needs in your life. That's why Kobos recommends Ohio Mutual Insurance Group. Since 1901, Ohio Mutual has been keeping the promises that secure dreams. Find us online at kobosins.com. We'd love to help evaluate your insurance needs and recommend the best coverage from the best companies like Ohio Mutual.
At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford this month, you choose. Right now, get the Escape, Mach-E, Mustang, or Bronco Sport for only $399 a month with 0 down, or the Bronco, Explorer, or F-150 for just $499 a month. At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford, we make it that easy.
Rocco, Nuosci, Jared Kozar here back with you on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Big thanks to Kyle Clark from Black River for joining us. He texted me right away and said he just lost connection where he was at, so no worries at all. He is a traveling man, as a lot of our head coaches are, and somebody that I'm sure does plenty of traveling in his free time. Cody Kea, head coach of the Clearview Clippers, joins us. And, Coach, a 40-7 win for you guys over Oberlin last night. The first short winning streak of your high school head coaching career, right? Back-to-back wins now. You knock off Brookside last week. You follow that up with a win over Oberlin last night. So we could just start with that, right? Back-to-back wins, a nice win streak now for your Clearview Clippers. What does that mean for you as a coach, your staff, and these kids who have worked so hard all season?
Yeah, we kids played a great game last night. It's nice, like you said, to have that win streak. And, we're starting to put things together. I feel like we've had a huge amount of improvement from where we were at the start of the season to where we are now. And yeah, the fun begins, as we say. We got 2 real tough tasks or challenges in front of us, but I know the kids are excited and they're ready to embrace those challenges.
Well, and there's no beating around that bush, right? Columbia and Keystone, the 2 teams at top of the conference left on the docket for you guys. And so I guess as good a time as any, as you said, to kind of have things start to come together, things looking up for you guys in your mind. What does that look like on the field for you guys, Coach, when you say things are coming together and maybe you're playing a better brand of football than you were at the start of the season? What does that look like for your guys?
Yeah, the last few weeks, I think it starts really just taking care of the football. We were very sloppy with the ball the first few weeks, and many turnovers across the board, and we're starting to protect the ball better. We still have moments where things could get cleaned up, but really it just starts there. You take care of the ball. Our defense has been playing, pretty strong the last several weeks, rallying to the ball, getting multiple hats on a play, any given play, really. So really just take care of the ball and continue to play sound defense, and you sprinkle in solid special teams play. It's a recipe for success.
And Coach, you've got Columbia up next, and certainly they're flying high right now, undefeated in conference and took care of business against Keystone. Is that something where, your team now isn't necessarily waiting in the weeds for them, but you're feeling good about yourselves at the right time to get these upper echelon opponents in your conference.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. Our kids, like I said, we're confident. We know we've, shot ourselves in the foot, countless times in weeks previous, and a lot of our mistakes are self-inflicted. But like I said, we're starting to clean those up, and our kids believe they can play with anyone, and I 1000% believe in them, and there's belief. Like, we're a confident group, and we know the challenges, like I said, present in front of us, but there's no reason we can't compete with anyone out there, and that's our mindset going into this week.
And it's a new season, of course. Well, we're mostly done with the season, but it's a new season and new leadership for Clearview this year under you. But at the same time, you've got some components, elements of those teams that had success over the past 2 seasons. That's got to be something you lean upon, too, to say, you know what, you may not be the biggest contributor on the team, but you've been with the team for a little while, and now it's time for you to have that influence.
Uh-oh. Oh, you guys got me on again? Sorry
Yeah,
about that. You're breaking up.
No, that's okay.
So I think I understood that you were asking about elements of our leadership of the past still being present on this team. Is that correct? Yeah, and that's a huge help. We especially Columbia this week. We've seen them before, and that's something too. It's a selling point for our kids. It's one thing. This senior class, they've never beat Columbia, so it's definitely a little, added momentum or a little boost for them, I guess you could say, for practice this week, film study, everything. We've been right there with them, just can never quite get over that hump. And if we continue to take care of the ball and play sound football again, I have full faith in our kids and in the program that there's no reason we can't be right there.
Well, yeah, and you talk about maybe finding motivation here during these final couple of weeks. I mean, it's high school football. These kids, there's a limited amount of games. I don't think they always need any sort of extra motivation. I think sometimes we in the media we try to force that, but you look at the playoff picture. I know you guys are on the outside looking in. It would certainly be tough to kind of make that jump at this juncture, but is some of that motivation kind of just like you said, hey, these seniors, they haven't beaten Columbia, and you got a chance to play spoiler a little bit here to both Columbia and Keystone down the stretch. Is that maybe kind of what some of this motivation looks like for you guys here for the final 2 weeks?
Yeah, definitely to an extent. Realistically, though, we're focusing 1 week at a time. So it's not about Keystone right now. It's all about Columbia. That's all we care about, and we're just gonna one step at a time worry about 1 week, and we'll play it out from there. The biggest thing you mentioned, the playoffs, we got to take care of our business, and that starts with you got to string together a couple victories. You got to put together a few wins. So that's the first step for that possibility. So right now, I'll focus on Columbia, and like I said, the kids know what's at stake here, and they know the success of the program, and they do a great job over there. And we have the uttermost respect for them and what they do. There's no disguising what they do, but man, they're good at it. So that's our task. And like I said, the kids they're going to be amped up this week for sure.
Well, to talk about a couple of individuals, as I read the short recap here in the Chronicle this morning, but Tristan and Cam, 2 touchdowns each for those young men, 2 guys that we've talked about a lot over the years with this Clearview football team, right? No question about that. What kind of leadership have those 2 shown, not just last night, but throughout the season for you guys?
Really all season, they've been, a huge presence for us. And, they're 2 kids that do all the little things right. They're great role models. They're the leaders in practice. Tristan was banged up for a few weeks and still at everything we did, watching film and just very vocal, even coaching up some of the younger kids or guys filling in. So that, props to him for that. And then with Cam, to embrace the quarterback position midway through the year without ever taking a snap before until, what was it, week 5 of this season? It's pretty remarkable to see just his growth and just continue watching him just look natural at the position that he's never played before.
Well, and I think, this goes with the theme of, some of the things we've talked about with our other coaches this morning, and that's the mental toughness component of the game of football. And that's such an obvious thing, right? Where it's a physical game, and obviously there's mental components that go into that. But, same deal with Columbia. They had a quarterback change because of injuries this season. You guys have a quarterback change halfway through the year as well. What does that say about the mental toughness of a guy like Cam to be thrusted into that position? And I'm sure you wouldn't have put him in there if you didn't think that he was capable of doing it. But again, that's a lot of mental and physical, but a lot of mental toughness that goes into taking on a new responsibility like that when you haven't really done it at all before.
Oh, for sure. And honestly, that's an aspect that's not talked about, enough, in my opinion, and especially playing the quarterback position. That's a lot to put on any kid. And the fact that Cam's been able to just roll with everything we've given him and all our installments and just everything that we've adopted kind of to fit his strengths too. It's really cool to see the growth there.
So for these final 2 weeks, Coach, I know, like you said, you're focused on Columbia. You're focused on controlling what you can control. What would you really like to see, maybe not improvement-wise, but how would you like to kind of punctuate this season, right? And I'm not talking wins or losses or anything like that, right? The results will be these 2 weeks what they are. But just from a brand of football and the type of football you'd like to see your team close this season out on, how would you like to have that look like here for these final 2 weeks?
Yeah, I think like I said, we've improved, drastically from week one. I'm sure every team in the area, or probably state, feels that way too. But I really do feel we have a little bit of an identity up front. We're playing a little bit more physical than I've seen in the past, which I love. We're definitely a little bit more run heavy than we've been in the past, and no complaints there. I just want to see us take care of the football, quite honestly, and just play consistent across the board. We've been having moments where we're getting better with it, but we still get sloppy here and there. My big thing, I just want to see us play consistent and high energy. The energy part's been there. I just want to see us consistently put it together. Complementary football across the board.
There you go. Well, the challenge is certainly cut out for you with these final 2 weeks, and it starts with Columbia next Friday night for you guys. So, Coach Kea, hey, congratulations again on the victory last night. Congratulations on your first win streak here as head coach of the Clippers. Really appreciate the time this morning, and here's hoping to at least a couple more Saturday morning conversations with you before it's all said and done this fall.
Yeah, looking forward to it, and yeah, hopefully we'll talk soon. Thank you for having me on.
You got it, Coach. And that's Coach Cody Kea, head man of the Clearview Clippers. His guys pieced together their first win streak of the season, back-to-back wins last week, first over Brookside. They followed that up last night with a 40-7 win over Oberlin. And it was a tough spot that Coach Kea was put into this season, right? Not in terms of, the kids that he has or anything like that, but just kind of, that all coming to fruition later in the summer than maybe it traditionally does when you have a new head coach for a program. And for it to kind of come together as it is now for him in these final couple of weeks, that's just really cool to see. And really, he's earned the success that they've had here, I think, these past 2 weeks.
I agree with that. I think they're in a situation, Rocco, it's fair to say they're not backpedaling right now. They're, regardless of what happens over the next 2 weeks, again, the challenge is large in those opponents. But he's at the point where just that conversation shows you he can enjoy it. He's happy for himself. He's happy for the kids. And win or lose, it's just a situation where this is what we set out to accomplish, and we've caught up now.
Yeah, and like so many coaches say, again, it goes with the cliche, but you're really building young men, and wins, losses, those are what they are. There's only so much you can do, I guess, on that front sometimes. Ultimately, these guys all do it because you want to turn these boys into young men, and if you're a girls coach, you're helping turn girls into, young women and responsible young men and women and all of those good things. And I think when you hear him talk about, hey, we're developing an identity, we're being more physical up front, that tells me that it's coming along. Kids are embracing the program, embracing that identity, and that just goes a long way towards those, real life responsibilities that hit you in a hurry. So great conversation as always with Coach K. Again, like I said, hopefully we're catching up with him at least one or two more times before this season comes to a close. Well, I see Mr. Medina County matchup himself down there in the queue. He is prime, poised, ready to go in Brick Alley or wherever he resides at for his podcasting appearances. So yeah, I see you looking around down there, Mr. Keefe. It'll be Michael Keefe, a voice of the WEOL Stream 3 Medina County matchup. He joins us next, right after this timeout. It's Rocco and Jared here with you live from the Chronicle Telegram on this Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show.
Lorain County Community College is where you'll lock in your future success. We've helped thousands of people just like you match skills and experience with a career. We can help you train for a career that is in demand right now. You can even work in your field while taking classes. LCCC will get you prepared, get you credentialed, and get you working. Lorain County Community College. Your goals, your career, your future. Enroll today.
Happy fall and happy football season. Professional football became a fall favorite when it was introduced in 1920. That's 19 years after Ohio Mutual Insurance Group began keeping the promises that secure dreams. Stop in and see us at the Cobos Insurance Center to learn more about Ohio Mutual. Cobos can help you select the right coverage for your needs. Find us online at CobosINS.com. If you want to protect your auto, home, farm, or business, you want Ohio Mutual on your team.
At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford this month, you choose. Right now, get the Escape, Mach-E, Mustang, or Bronco Sport for only $399 a month with 0 down. Or the Bronco, Explorer, or F-150 for just $499 a month. At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford, we make it that easy.
And we're back here at the Chronicle Telegram. Rocco, Nuosci, Jared Kozar here with you, sporting our respective noon kickoff
Just
teams
what you
today.
said it would look like.
Yeah, I said it last night on the broadcast. You'd be sporting your finest red Ohio State quarter zip, and I would be donned in some fine Zips apparel. So, but we're not here to talk Zips or Buckeyes. We're here to talk Medina County football with the man that calls Medina County football on WEOL.com. Stream number 3. It's Michael Keefe, live from the Keefe Manor or Stately Keefe Manor. Yeah, there he is with the bricks. I love the setup, man. By the way, I guess we could just start with that, right? Anytime I see you doing your thing on Garage Beers or when you join us here in the morning, the brick setup that you got going on there, nice and confined space, good backdrop for you. Really, details the face nicely here on the screen for us. So it's great ingenuity with the setup over there, my friend. Well done.
First of all, yikes on the face part, and I apologize to everybody that has to see it. But give credit to my wife. She put this together one day when I was on a work trip and surprised me with it when I came home.
Really,
the reality of it is I'm in a room that's like under the stairs going into the basement.
Oh,
and I think this was my wife's way of being like, hey, let's put you away. Let's put you away. There's a lot of soundproofing in here. Let's put you away. I think that was the goal.
There you go. Well, you're just mere storage at this point, my friend.
Correct.
Nothing more, nothing less. So that's not bad. That's not a bad gig, though. I think I'd sign up for that.
Serviceable.
I'm still in the house. That's what matters.
There you go. There you go. You got the roof. So, hey, I mean, you were over at Medina last night. Brunswick ultimately runs away with that one 35-7. So we don't have to talk too extensively about that. But any brief thoughts on that one, Mike? I think this is a Medina team. Look, we know the struggles that they're going through right now. In Brunswick, one of those up and down seasons where they'll put together performances like that. We've certainly seen them on the other side of scores like this this season. But what did you make of last night?
Well, I think the thing that I take away from last night, Medina is not a very good football team. We know Medina is not a very good football team. It doesn't mean they don't have good players on the team, but they just
hasn't come together.
The system doesn't quite fit the players, and it just is kind of a weird total situation there. What I will say, though, is this is the first time we've seen Brunswick since week 1 when they lost to Berea Mid-Park, and it's a much different team. It is a very different team than we saw week 1. They play with like a swagger and an attitude that is going to make them a challenge for anybody. Now, yeah, we've seen some of the opposite scores like we saw last night, like when they play Menor, but Menor does that to everybody. And that, it's a hard thing to gauge. But I do think, here's what I will say. I think Brunswick has an opportunity these last 2 weeks, this week against Cleveland Heights. And then next week, big game, week 10 against Strongsville. I think Brunswick has an opportunity. They're going to be in the playoffs, but they've got a real opportunity to host a playoff game if they can get a couple wins. And I think they're going to be difficult for anybody they have to play. Again, maybe they get a playoff win and they get to the second round, and then things get maybe a little uglier when it is a team like St. Ed's or Menor or whatever that they've got to go up against. But it's a much better, much more difficult team to play than maybe what they were at the beginning. And, good things ahead for the Blue Devils.
And Mike, with Division I and the way that it's all worked out, you're right. There are going to be some matchups that maybe if you get a home game, you do kind of have control and are able to dictate the pace. Quite frankly, I agree with you. After week 1, you don't necessarily write Brunswick off, but you don't pay as much attention until you start paying attention. And then you look at it, you're like, wow, these guys could possibly be second place in the conference if everything goes out the way that they probably have it drawn up.
Yeah, and that's credit to Coach Cole Carter. Again, he is a young dude, 28 years old, 29, something like that. Just in his second year at the helm of Brunswick. And he I've told this story a lot, but he came to Brunswick from down in the Marietta area where he's from, where he was coaching his alma mater. Because he wanted to be a part of Division I, Region I football in the state of Ohio. And I think that's a really cool story. And he got an opportunity to do it. And I think it's only a matter of time. The way they started the year, their quarterback, Sean Barnett, was not going to play football this year. And it was 5 days before the season that he changed his mind. And so maybe the way the year started was a little bit ugly for the Brunswick Blue Devils. But again, they're finding a little rhythm. They're finding a little pace. And again, like you said, they're forcing you to have to pay attention to them.
And it's a great thing, especially when you're talking about 8 weeks into the season and just some of the storylines there. When we speak about compelling storylines, you mentioned Division One and Region One. We'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Division Two, Region Six. Tell us
Yeah,
how that's going to play out.
the top two teams right now in the region that features the defending state champion Avon Eagles. But right now, as the unofficial computer points sit, it's Wadsworth 1 and it's Highland 2. And so two Medina County teams sitting atop that standing. Finally, Highland got to play again. Again, they had the weird situation last week where they had a game just canceled for a reason that exists. But they got back out there this week and they just looked like Highland. They played Kent Roosevelt. 58-7 was the final score, just a normal Highland score. And Wadsworth right now sits atop that Division II Region 6. And last night, again, it was the toughest challenge left on their schedule for the regular season up against Nordonia in Nordonia. And they just said, yeah, we'll hang 62 on Nordonia. And they beat Nordonia 62-21. So those two teams, again, we were talking about it last night. I don't know if it's going to match up. I think the way things look as far as the numbers go, it might have to be in the regional final, which means some team would have to beat Avon. And again, that's going to be the tallest of the tall tasks. But it feels like it's going to be all this season and everything feels like it's going to lead up to something. And if we don't get it, it's going to be a bummer, which is we need to see Highland and Wadsworth play each other this year. It's going to start next year, every year, because they're going to be on the same side of the Suburban League next year. But this year, with all the seniors, with all the big-time playmakers that have been making plays for both the units for so many years, we have to find a way to see that game. So hopefully all the rankings and all the games go that way, because it would be a wild, wild game against between Highland and Wadsworth.
Well, this may be a reference that goes over both of your guys' heads, but you saying this in your anticipation of a potential Wadsworth Highland matchup, it makes me think of the Eric Andre meme where he's kind of rattling the gates, yelling, "Let me in, let me in!" And on the other side, that's you, and on the other side of the fence is this hypothetical Wadsworth and Highland matchup where you're just, "Oh, let me see it, I need to see it." That's you, my friend. That is you, pretty much banging on the doors to make this happen. So I hope for your sake it comes to fruition, because I don't think anybody in Ohio would be happier than you to see the Grizzlies and the Hornets lock horns.
We're not going to get a lot of sleep around here if it doesn't, because all he's going to do is talk about it.
That's exactly right. And there will be so many hypotheticals that I will be using a lot of AI generators to come up with how that football game would look, because I want to see it. I want to see it.
We don't need your AI slop. We got human creativity we can develop, right? But how about a pseudo preview for what will be our Week 9 Medina County matchup, right? A little Buckeye Rocky River action that we're hoping to have on the Stream 3 this upcoming Friday. What do we make of that?
Listen, so excited for this game. It feels like it's this game in this conference every year, where it's Week 9 and it comes down to it, and whoever wins this game is going to win the Cleveland West Conference. But last year we had this. We had an undefeated Buckeye team. I think we had a one-loss Rocky River team. Mm-hmm. We had two undefeated teams within their conference, and it was Rocky River going to Buckeye. We called that game from Buckeye, a game in which Buckeye beat Rocky River 55-0. And that's how that game went. I don't think that will be the case this year. When I look at the Rocky River Pirates and their schedule, they are, I think, a much improved football team from last year, even though they were pretty good last year. And all I do is I look at that one game that they played early in the season against Uniontown Lake, a Uniontown Lake team that is awesome and that is incredibly tough. As far as a non-conference game goes, it doesn't get much tougher for Rocky River than scheduling a team like Uniontown Lake. And the Uniontown Lake got out to a big lead, but Rocky River closed that gap. And then they wound up giving Uniontown Lake their closest game of the season up until recently. And I think that showed kind of the grit that Rocky River is built with, that I don't think they're coming out and getting beat 55-0 again. So I actually think this year, the battle for the Cleveland West Conference is much more of a dogfight for the Buckeye Bucks. The problem for the Rocky River Pirates is that I think the Buckeye Bucks are also better this year than they were last year. And so, again, I think Buckeye would be favored in the game. I think they should be favored in the game. I think Buckeye is on pace for a 10-0 season. I actually think they're on pace for probably their deepest playoff run they've had in a while. But again, it all plays out on the field, and it should be, I think, a much more competitive, a much more balanced, and a better game this year for our Week 9 matchup. I cannot wait to get back to my old stomping grounds, the home of the Pirates in Rocky River, and call that game.
Well, you'll just be a couple blocks down the road from La Casa de Nuosci, since I reside in Fairview, right there, basically on the Rocky River in Fairview border. I just go straight down the road, and Rocky River High School's on my right. So
I'm coming over and raiding the fridge, grabbing some snacks after the game.
Did you have to, pop over with breakfast for Mark Wagner of Rocky River before catching up with us today, or is that directly after?
You know what? The Uber Eats driver will be heading to the home of Wagner, the Wags house, with delicious treats for Wags. We gotta make sure we got 2 spots in that press box.
Talk about securing your spot in the press box. Michael Keefe knows how to do it.
Connoisseur right here, Michael Keefe. Taking in some college football today, my friend, or what? What's on the docket for Mr. Keefe on a Saturday afternoon?
Probably a little bit. My kids woke up and wanted to watch this WWE event that's happening in Australia, so they've got that going on upstairs, having a good time with that. We'll probably do that. I think we're gonna get very basic fall stuff going on. We may head over to Red Wagon Farm over there in Columbia, which is always a good time, especially after they put the brewery in. So I think we may go do that, have a couple of beers, watch the kids run around and play. But yeah, football, fall things. It's a fall day in the Keefe house.
Boy, yeah, sure is. And a little wrestling to start the day, and then you're right onto the fall activity. So you can't beat that. You're living life well over there, my friend, outside of being, relegated to storage underneath the stairs. So you're doing all right.
I'm allowed to come out when the timer goes off. So.
All right. Well, that's when whoever wins, that's when Michael gets out of the cage. So great stuff, Michael, my friend. Always appreciate the time here on a Saturday morning. Enjoy your fall festivity filled Saturday, and we'll be talking next week about some Buckeye and Rocky River. How about that?
We will be talking, and listen, I am going to watch football because the Texas A&M Aggies are going to the Swamp tonight, and they are beating the Florida Gators. So get ready for that. Get ready for that.
Texas thought the same thing last week.
Yeah, but Texas stinks.
Let's
go Aggies.
There it is. Michael Keefe, appreciate you, my friend. Enjoy your Saturday. There he is, Michael Keefe, the almost said head coach, but he's not a head coach of anybody. He's head coach of his underneath the stairs, I guess. But
Milton in Office Space, residing in Storage B. We're going to call that Storage B from now on.
That's hilarious. I know. I've always seen that setup, and I'm like, man, where in his? I've never been to the Keefe residence, but I'm just like, where in his house is that? And that makes total sense.
Secret passage underneath the stairs.
Yeah, I don't know.
A lot of guys are doing that.
Yeah, well, and he gives his wife credit. She put that together in a day. He said, "That's Courtney. If you're watching at home, I'm just kidding. That's
again, she did that for her, not him."
Fair enough. I guess that's point well taken. Well, hey, fun 9 o'clock hour officially in the books as we sit here in the early stages of the 10 o'clock hour. So we'll step aside, take a quick timeout. And when we return, it'll be Ryan O'Rourke, head coach of the Firelands Falcons. He'll kick things off for our 10 o'clock hour. Big win for his guys on our Stream 2 game over Wellington last night. Bill DiFucci joins us at 10:20. Back-to-back wins for him over Huron in consecutive seasons. So I'm sure he's excited to talk about that. Jack Armstrong from the Middies joins us at 10:30, and then rounding out the show at 10:40, it'll be Mike Elder, head coach, of course, over at Avon of the Eagles. So again, Coach O'Rourke, Coach DiFucci, Coach Armstrong, Coach Elder, they all are next after this timeout. Top of the 10 o'clock hour here. Rocco, Nuosci, Jared Kozar with you on this morning's Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back.
At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford this month, you choose. Right now, get the Escape, Mach-E, Mustang, or Bronco Sport for only $399 a month with 0 down, or the Bronco, Explorer, or F-150 for just $499 a month. At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford, we make it that easy.
High school football in Lorain County is all about tradition, pride, and community, and that's what Stewart's Appliance is built on. For generations, Stewart's has been the family-owned appliance store you can count on for quality products and personal service. From refrigerators to washers, ovens to dishwashers, Stewart's has what you need to keep your home running. Proud to support Lorain County and proud to support high school sports. Stewart's Appliance, where community comes first.
Fall is the season of change, and when things change in your life, be sure you have the best protection for what matters most to you. At the Kobos Insurance Agency, we're committed to helping you select the best insurance to accommodate the changing needs in your life. That's why Kobos recommends Ohio Mutual Insurance Group. Since 1901, Ohio Mutual has been keeping the promises that secure dreams. Find us online at kobosins.com. We'd love to help evaluate your insurance needs and recommend the best coverage from the best companies like Ohio Mutual.
Lorain County Community College is where you'll lock in your future success. LCCC will get you prepared, get you credentialed, and get you working. Lorain County Community College. Your goals, your career, your future. Enroll today.
Lorain County has a story every day. Make sure you don't miss it. From breaking news and high school sports to schools, business, and community events, the Chronicle has it all. Stay connected to your neighbors and your home team with coverage that matters most to you. Don't just hear about Lorain County, know Lorain County. Subscribe today at chroniclet.com/subscribe and get the news that keeps you in the know. The Chronicle Telegram, Lorain County's largest newspaper.
Back here on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show, Rocco, Nuosci, Jared Kozar here with you on a Saturday morning, breaking down some Week 8 action as, man, you look at the windows here at the Chronicle Telegram, and I mean, we've said this almost ad nauseum, and it's probably kind of almost annoying to keep repeating it this way, but it just doesn't feel like fall, man. A little bit of foliage, a little bit of, leaf color changing going on out there, but weather still strong. I mean, I'm in sweatpants right now, and I feel like I could have showed up in shorts. You wouldn't have liked that as Mr. HR man here at the Chronicle Telegram, but you got them on yourself, so I told you to wear pants.
This is the weekend, son. We can do things our own way here.
I suppose. I find it funny. I have to ask twice, though, my friend. That's an inside joke that I don't think any of you guys would get, except for. Well, no, certainly not. But again, excited to keep the show moving here. 10 o'clock hour. Ryan O'Rourke will join us here shortly. Bill DeFucci from Vermilion as well. Jack Armstrong of Midview, and then Mike Elder at Avon will round out the show. We'll sneak maybe some Buckeye chatter in at the tail end of things here, but before we say goodbye and thank you to our sponsors and all of that good stuff. But first and foremost, let's recap those scores from last night. Let me find the graphic here. There we are, and it's a poor graphic, I should say, on my behalf. I cheated James Boyes and his Lorain Titans a point. They did end up losing to Strongsville last night in GCC action 43-14, not 43-13, 43-14, so apologies there. But Strongsville does upend Lorain again, 43-14 the final. Brunswick elsewhere in the GCC winners over Medina, as Michael Keefe just told us on our Stream 3 game last night, 35-7 the final score there. And that sets up potentially a really interesting Week 10 matchup between Strongsville and Brunswick. As it stands now, they're both 4-1 in conference play. That's second behind unbeaten Menor, at least Menor unbeaten in conference play at 5-0. So if both Strongsville and Brunswick take care of business respectively in Week 9, they would have a Week 10 battle that, again, essentially would be for second place in the Greater Cleveland Conference. In the Lorain County League, on our YouTube game of the week last night, Columbia on the road in LaGrange upends Keystone 21-7. The final score there. Mike Rice talked about that one to us in the 9 o'clock hour. Black River over Brookside 42-0. We heard from Coach Kyle Clark earlier this morning. Clearview upends Oberlin, as Coach Cody Kea talked to us about it, 40-7 the final score there. And then again, Ryan O'Rourke, who's set to join us here shortly, his Firelands Falcons winners over Wellington 44-7. And elsewhere in the North Coast Conference, it was Holy Name knocking off Elyria Catholic 24-7.
SWC and more coming your way right now, as it was, well, not in the SWC, but Vermilion, a 28-21 victor over the Huron Tigers. Bill DeFucci joining us later on in this hour. It was Avon blanking the Amherst Comets 34-0. Mike Elder will catch up with him at the end of the program, get his thoughts on where his team will rest coming off of a 34-0 shutout victory. Brian Morgan talked North Ridgeville Ranger football, his team with an impressive 31-14 victory over Avon Lake last night. And the Midview Middies, a 41-27 victor over the Elyria Pioneers. 41-27. Jack Armstrong joining us later on in the program to discuss. And the other score of note in the Southwestern Conference, it was Olmsted Falls hammering Berea Mid-Park last night, 46-12. Tom DeLuca and the Bulldogs shooting right up those rankings late in the season.
Yeah, so there are some scores from last night to pass around. Thank you, Jared. And coming up today, not on WEOL or anything, but the Buckeyes on the college football front are on the road in Champaign, taking on 17th-ranked Illinois. That is a noon kickoff. And then tomorrow, the Cavs preseason continues. They are in Boston at 7 o'clock. And the Brownies, a tough one tomorrow in Pittsburgh, taking on the Steelers, a 1 o'clock kick. So some AFC North bragging rights on the line in that one.
You and I head-to-head on that one. We haven't talked about it all week. There's not a whole lot to talk about. If you are a Browns fan, aside from personnel changes that have occurred throughout the week. So that's more of a storyline going into Pittsburgh, and it never should be.
Yeah, and maybe some of that is some of the, I guess, the lack of excitement, not lack of excitement, but our lack of discussion. I mean, it just maybe it's because we get busy with our high school football coverage, or just with the status of the Browns. I'm not trying to be Mr. Steelers guy, hammer on the Browns. That's never been me. But like, I just tomorrow's really kind of sneaking up on me. 1 o'clock's gonna come, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's Steelers Browns.
You're well within your right to do that. And you're right. It's Steelers Browns tomorrow, 1 o'clock. I will be very excited at 1 o'clock. By 1:45. I will be thinking about what else I can do with the rest of my day.
45 minutes of entertainment. That's
nobody said it was entertainment. Just you're going to give it 45
that's
minutes.
Before white flag gets thrown.
Right, yeah.
Throw the towel.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Exactly. Fair enough. So again, Buckeyes in action today, Cavs and Browns in action tomorrow. So we're still waiting on Ryan O'Rourke, head coach of the Firelands Falcons. He was set to join us at 10:10. His guys got a 44-7 win over Wellington last night. It was our WEOL.com Stream 2 game as Rob Polinsky and Tom Evans were on hand for that one. Appreciate those two guys' efforts, by the way, kind of engineering their old ball game. You put the older heads in there together with the new gear, and it's like, how's this going to go down? And I'll tell you what, those two guys, not that anybody cares about the trials and tribulations of WEOL broadcast talent, but those two handled it in stride. They handled it well last night.
Polinsky adverse to change across any platform. And, the fact that he was willing to come in and take some tutelage, that says a lot about him. That you can develop character even at an advanced age.
You think he's seen an HDMI cord yet, or no? I don't think so.
I think that he one is probably residing in his residence, but he didn't hook it up.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's what I would
go. I didn't know if he was still on the old CRT,
I think he turns the TV on using the button underneath it, though. I don't think the remote has actually been embedded
yet. This isn't fair. He's not here to defend himself. So
that's the best part.
I guess we'll quit bullying Rob. Again, waiting on Ryan O'Rourke, head coach of the Firelands Falcons. If he's unable to join us, that is A-OK. We know all of our guys get locked into JV duty, family duty, life things that happen on a Saturday afternoon, right? Michael Keefe telling us he already has a full slate of things happening today with the kids. So we know how that goes. But we still got Bill DiFucci. He'll be set to join us here in a couple of minutes at 10:20. Jack Armstrong from Midview on this morning's program as well. And then Mike Elder from Avon will round out the show at about 10:40 later on this morning. Again, the playoff picture really starting to take full effect here through 8 weeks now. We got 2 weeks left to go here in the regular season. Of course, the 12-team format back down from 16 after the initial expansion from 8. So that, people still kind of have conflicting thoughts on that. Personally, Jared, I don't know your thoughts. I think 12 is probably a solid number. You get rid of some of those week one shellackings that was just a little too common, I think, when you had the 16 team. Again, there were split thoughts even on that. Those 13 through 16, do they even want to be in sometimes, given that, the health of their teams? Is it good? Is it bad for them as a program? Differing thoughts on that. But ultimately, I think at the end of the day, 12, not a bad number, I don't think, to settle on.
I always thought 8 was the number. Then the more you hear about it, and you have to take the opinion of the coaches seriously. I mean, that's really who should have the input on this. A lot of the coaches said 12 was the number. 12 was what they wanted because you'd have the buy in there. When they were kind of force-fed the 16, they didn't like it. And it didn't make sense, as you mentioned, because you'd have a 16 going on the road somewhere that they didn't want to be at, and it just didn't make sense for a lot of kids. And, quite frankly, there are some teams that are ready to pack it in at the end of week 10.
Sure.
And well within their right to do so. Part of the entire process for some of these schools is managing and maneuvering through the season healthy and able to build on next year. And you might not do that if you're going into a tough customer on the road, and just it's not a great environment to learn and develop.
Yeah, well, and especially when you get into D4, D5, especially, and lower beyond that, right? Because when you're a big D1 school, when you're D2 even, we know the roster size of Avon, and given that this doesn't really apply to them, but let's say Avon was one of those teams kind of on the fringe, and do they have enough healthy bodies? Well, in that case, usually, yeah, with a roster that big, there's probably some kids that maybe didn't play as much throughout the year that you'd like to see get some time before, the offseason rolls around or what have you. But for the smaller schools, I think you're absolutely right. And just given, the health and the physical nature of small school football, sometimes playing the Ironman, both sides of the ball, it can be tough when you extend that season and, maybe you don't really have a real shot at making any legitimate progress through the postseason bracket.
Well, and think about some of the logistics involved. Regionally, I think the state does what they can, but you still have 2+ hour bus rides that exist.
Right.
And, that's not any way to mentally prepare, especially in most cases. Hey, go through your school day, or at least part of it, then get on the bus. stretch for a little bit, take a stop a half hour away or something like that, and then get back in there, go to the locker room, change again. In all likelihood, take the beating and get back on the bus.
Yeah.
It's just, and we talked about it, smaller schools, chances are your athletes there are your athletes, and some of them are getting ready for hoops, some of them are getting ready for wrestling, anything else that they're going to be a part of in that winter, even if it's maybe just to condition themselves or recommit to that sport. The point is the off season for them maybe should have started.
Yeah, no question about that. I mean, you mentioned hoops is this week or this upcoming week. You and I will be sitting down at some point, right, and kind of figuring out how we're going to do hoops here on this new YouTube WEOL and Chronicle Telegram stream. So certainly looking forward to hoops, and we're excited for that.
It's going to be fun, challenging, but fun.
Yeah. But to your point, I mean, it's right. I mean, you get 2 weeks or whatever to kind of reset and collect yourself before you're out there on the hardwood having to make plays. So yeah, certainly,
and catch up with kids that maybe aren't committed to a different sport.
Right.
They've been on the hardwood for 2 weeks by the time you even get there and get your basketball legs underneath you. Granted, usually coming off of football, you're in pretty good condition.
Yeah.
But it's a transition.
Yeah, no, for sure. And even before that, right, over the summer, if you're not playing football, oftentimes you're in like a summer ball league or tournament or one of those pro-ams. I mean, it's just all kinds of different things. So, yeah, as much as, we love, the high school sports seasons and how kind of quickly they run into each other, it can certainly be challenging for a number of athletes, no question. So Bill DiFucci, I see he's joined us in the queue. He's ready to go talk some Sailor football. Huge win for his guys last night over Huron. Back-to-back wins in consecutive seasons, I should say, for the Sailors over the Tigers of Huron. So I'll tell you what, we'll step aside, take a quick timeout, and when we return, it'll be Bill DiFucci joining us, head coach of the Vermilion Sailors. He's up next after this timeout. And Rocco, Nuosci, Jared Kozar here with you live from the Chronicle Telegram on this morning's Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. We'll be right back.
At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford this month, you choose. Right now, get the Escape, Mach-E, Mustang, or Bronco Sport for only $399 a month with 0 down, or the Bronco, Explorer, or F-150 for just $499 a month. At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford, we make it that easy.
Are you undecided about your future and overwhelmed by the options? Well, don't worry, you're not alone. Lorain County Community College has helped thousands of students just like you find their future career. From short-term training programs to transfer options all the way to bachelor degrees, our programs are designed to set you up for future success. Lorain County Community College, your goals, your career, your future. Enroll today.
Hi, Tim Elkhorn, Cavs radio voice. Recently, we had some trees removed. So again, singing the praises of EcoTree Services. In a few hours, EcoTree had removed the unsightly trees, cleaned the debris, and opened the area for a new fence. I can't say enough good things about the people at EcoTree. I've used them several times, always thrilled with their work. If you have trees that require pruning or need to be removed, contact EcoTree, a local business that deserves your business. They've earned mine. Go to ecotreeservices.com.
Rocco, Nuosci, Jared Kozar here with you back at the Chronicle Telegram. Pardon me, getting my parking situation figured out for the old Zippers ball game later at noon. Big one against Miami.
You and the boss head to head.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Think about that, did you?
Well, and I have a feeling it won't be me emerging victorious on that head-to-head front, but that's A-okay. Someone who did emerge victorious is Bill DiFucci, head coach of the Vermilion Sailors, as his guys get a huge 28-21 victory on the road at Huron. Back-to-back wins in consecutive seasons for his guys over the Tigers. And Coach, I'm sure just kind of starting with that, right? This Huron team is one that Vermilion had struggled for a long, long time against. You got over the hump last year against them, right? You knock them off again this year. And that's just got to be a win that feels really good here on a Saturday morning, knocking off a team like that at their place.
Yeah, you're right. It certainly does. And we've talked about this before a couple weeks ago about getting that bad taste out of our mouth. We're on a 2-game slide here and kind of struggling to get things right. And it feels good to effectively execute our scheme and come out victorious.
Well, you kind of alluded to it there, Coach. I'm not trying to, pick on you guys or anything, but because you said, I mean, it had been a tough couple of weeks for you guys. No way around that. And last night, like you said, you get that bad taste out of your mouth. You get a big, huge road conference win over a really good Huron football team and program. I guess what looked different or what felt different as you took that one in last night to where your guys were able to execute it and make enough plays to get the win. What kind of looked different for you guys in that one?
For us, it was certainly the boys had a great practice week. That's huge. Any week you go into a conference game and any week in high school football, but certainly trying to limit the mistakes. I mean, we talked about the games that we've lost, and we've committed penalties at untimely times. Not that the penalty is ever good for you, but penalties have set us back, got us off timing, and turnovers have hurt us. So, we came out and played a tough first half. It was 7-0 at half. Had a couple penalties that stopped drives for us. Had 2 turnovers in that first half. And at halftime, we came in the locker room. We said, "Listen, this is the blueprint for disaster for you guys. And you've experienced it. You've been through this a couple weeks now. We've got to knock it out. No penalties." Clean football, no turnovers, and I'll tell you what, they played darn good offensive football in that second half, and allowed us to score 28 points in the second half last night.
And Coach, when you talk about that and you look at the numbers, anybody's going to say that and be like, well, they ran for those sort of gaudy rushing numbers. They dictated the pace. And, it's just in a rivalry game like that, that's not always the case. And you guys were able to put it together defensively to make the stops when you needed to. But I think from the outside looking in, people are going to say, well, Vermilion should have dominated this game with those kind of numbers. But it's not always how it works.
Yeah, you're right. And I'm a stats guy, no doubt about that. We dive into our calls and our plays and how effective we are in our base run game. But you're right. When you're talking 7-0 at halftime and we were moving the football, we had penalties that put us behind the sticks. And as crazy as that sounds, you move the football and you get behind the sticks, you can't recover it. Sometimes that's situational. And then the 2 turnovers stop drive. So of those possessions in the first half, we shot ourselves in the foot, and we talked about that this morning here in our film review, and making sure that we understand we want to be the best version of ourselves every week moving forward.
Bill, as a guy that's led the turnaround here at Vermilion these past couple of seasons, is that something where now you could kind of look to yourself and say, I can lead these guys and I can explain to them in a game like this at the half, this is where we draw the line in the sand to save our season?
Yeah, certainly. I'm pretty animated at halftime, and I believe in us. I believe in our players. I believe in our coaches. We've got a solid group of young men here that do a fantastic job of listening and following and giving great effort. And at halftime, that's kind of was a discussion, just do what we do, do it at a high level, and every snap matters for us moving forward. I mean, we got 2 weeks left. We're right in the middle of things right now with 2 5-team winners. Both these teams coming up have 5 wins under their belt, and we got to be the best version of ourselves here these last 2 weeks.
Coach, you mentioned a good week of practice for your guys, and one of the themes of this morning's show has been mental toughness. What does it say about your team to be able to put together a good week of practice, get a big road win, coming off of back-to-back losses, and kind of almost in heartbreaking fashion, right? You lose to Norwalk 2 weeks ago. They get a late score, a 5 overtime thriller loss, unfortunately, for you guys at home against Port Clinton. So for your guys to kind of put that aside, or maybe use that as some fuel and motivation to, again, put together a good week of practice, execute the Friday night game plan, especially in the second half, like you said, I think that says a lot about the mental toughness more so than anything for your guys.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the past 2 weeks, we've been through a lot as a program. I mean, we're one play away in each of those games being 7-1 at this point. And we talk about those plays, right? Those plays that we didn't execute at our level, at our expected level. And it certainly drives that mental toughness, but man, nothing prepares you more than going into 5 overtimes the week before and just knowing that, keep doing what we do, we're going to be just fine. And I think that resonated well with the players. I know a couple of players afterwards were talking to some media, and they said the same thing. They believed in what we were doing, and they had no doubt that we were going to get it right.
Well, Coach, we'll let you go with this, as I think we're breaking up a little bit, but a big one this upcoming Friday, obviously at home against Edison. Like you said, you got them in Bellevue. They're both 5-game winners to close out your regular season here. And again, this is one where I don't think your kids are going to need a whole lot of extra motivation throughout the week. Anytime Edison comes to Vermilion, it's going to be a tough physical ball game, and I'm sure your kids are going to be ready for that.
Might have lost him.
And we may have lost him here. That is A-okay. Coach, you got us still?
Yeah,
I
you're
don't
right.
think
I mean,
we do. So
we
we'll
put
go
ourselves in
ahead
position the last few years.
and step him or take him off for the rest of the morning. That's
I know
okay.
what you wanted to say.
No, well, that's yeah. I didn't know how to. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean about it. It's just it is what it is. It's just one of those things with self perception or whatever. But no, certainly appreciate his time. I'll shoot him a text that way he doesn't think we're just ditching him or whatever. But no, that's a huge win for Vermilion last night on the road at Huron, and now you're right back at home taking on a very, very good Edison program that always presents a tough challenge. Now, they've been vulnerable this season, Edison. We were talking about that before the show a little bit, kind of looking at their schedule and taking some losses that you wouldn't typically expect Edison to take. But
Clyde and then Port Clinton last night, so back to back. That's the thing. They're going to take that losing streak into Vermilion, and that makes that maybe even a more curious game than it would have otherwise been. The cool part about rivalries in that conference and in that geographic region, Rocco, and I know that we really can't say you're new to it anymore because you've been around long enough, but they play for the OR over there.
That's right.
That's a big thing. And it's one thing to win the OR, another thing to retain the OR. And that's what happened to Vermilion last night. That resides with them still. So back-to-back wins over a tough rival. And, that is a big deal. I think I need to do a little bit more research on Vermilion football in terms of, the 90s, but that might have gone back to Coach DeFucci as a player was the last time that they said, this is staying with us.
Well, yeah, that I think even before that, because Ron and I had the game last year, and it was like multiple decades, I think was the last time. Maybe that was just beating them in Vermilion, whatever it was. It was a really long streak last season that Vermilion stopped against Huron. I can't remember the exact details behind what I couldn't remember if it was just the win overall or the win in Vermilion, whatever it was. It was a big monumental win.
Winning it is one thing, retaining it another. I think if you do it 3 times, they let you rename it.
Yeah. Is that the ruling on that? We
unofficially.
Talk to Andy Stillman about that, see what kind of details we can get, huh? So, but no, again, appreciate Coach DeFucci's time. Certainly appreciate him taking some time here this morning for us. Got a couple more head coaches to get to before we say goodbye this morning. After this quick timeout, hopefully we'll be joined by Midview Midi head football coach Jack Armstrong. His guys got a 41-27 win over Elyria last night, so we'll talk some Middies football with Coach Armstrong. And then Mike Elder of the Avon Eagles had a big shutout win over Amherst last night, 34-0, the final there. So Coach Elder will hopefully talk to us about that one right around 10:40. So Coach Armstrong, Coach Elder left to go here on this Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. It's Rocco Nuosci and Jared Kozar live from the Chronicle Telegram. We will be right back after this timeout.
At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford this month, you choose. Right now, get the Escape, Mach-E, Mustang, or Bronco Sport for only $399 a month with 0 down, or the Bronco, Explorer, or F-150 for just $499 a month. At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford, we make it that easy.
Lorain County Community College is where you'll lock in your future success. LCCC will get you prepared, get you credentialed, and get you working. Lorain County Community College. Your goals, your career, your future. Enroll today.
High school football in Lorain County is all about tradition, pride, and community, and that's what Stewart's Appliance is built on. For generations, Stewart's has been the family-owned appliance store you can count on for quality products and personal service. From refrigerators to washers, ovens to dishwashers, Stewart's has what you need to keep your home running. Proud to support Lorain County and proud to support high school sports. Stewart's Appliance, where community comes first.
Happy fall and happy football season. Professional football became a fall favorite when it was introduced in 1920. That's 19 years after Ohio Mutual Insurance Group began keeping the promises that secured dreams. Stop in and see us at the Cobos Insurance Center to learn more about Ohio Mutual. Cobos can help you select the right coverage for your needs. Find us online at cobosins.com. If you want to protect your auto, home, farm, or business, you want Ohio Mutual on your team.
Lorain County has a story every day. Make sure you don't miss it. From breaking news in high school sports to schools, business, and community events, the Chronicle has it all. Stay connected to your neighbors and your home team with coverage that matters most to you. Don't just hear about Lorain County, know Lorain County. Subscribe today at chroniclet.com/subscribe and get the news that keeps you in the know. The Chronicle Telegram, Lorain County's largest newspaper.
Lorain County Community College is where you'll lock in your future success. We've helped thousands of people just like you match skills and experience with a career. We can help you train for a career that is in demand right now. You can even work in your field while taking classes. LCCC will get you prepared, get you credentialed, and get you working. Lorain County Community College. Your goals, your career, your future. Enroll today.
At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford this month, you choose. Right now, get the Escape, Mach-E, Mustang, or Bronco Sport for only $399 a month with 0 down, or the Bronco, Explorer, or F-150 for just $499 a month. At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford, we make it that easy.
Well, welcome back to the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Rocco, Nuosci, Jared Kozar here with you. We are awaiting Jack Armstrong, head coach of the Midview Middies. They had a 41-27 win over Elyria last night. And then Mike Elder from Avon will join us to round out the show this morning. Well, Jared and I will talk about next week, and he's got a special shout out for one of the very good friends of WEOL and the Chronicle Telegram. So we'll get to that all at 10:50. But I guess real quick, I was actually going to say something about Elyria for a second. It's 27 points of offense. I know that's a number that head coach Matt Wilson would be at least relatively pleased with. Obviously, these head coaches, we know they're not in the moral victories necessarily, and obviously he would have rather won last night's game than anything else over Midview, right? But 27 points of offense for a Pioneer program that has, well, I mean, no way around it, right? They've struggled this season and struggled mightily, but a better offensive output for them last night. But we can circle back around to them. What I got to ask you about is we, again, await Jack Armstrong from Midview. How much, because I know we were watching it in our post-game session, did you catch the end of Mariners-Tigers last night as Seattle marched their way to the ALCS? What a ball game, huh? I mean, we talk about the ghost runner during the regular season and the pace of play, and I think that's probably ultimately a good thing over the course of 162 games because, you know, we saw both teams just deplete their arms completely last night in that one. That could end up hurting Seattle a little bit in the CS, but man, what a game of baseball that was. Holy smokes.
It sure was, and when we parted ways, when I went home and thought to myself, well, that game will be over in the next 10 minutes when I started the arduous drive. You know, I got home and I thought to myself, well, I'll just see what happened. And wait, at that time, it was the 14th inning. And I'm like, well, I owe it to myself in the process to stay awake and watch this. And certainly it didn't disappoint. Polanco comes through there and sends the M's on their date with Toronto. And I think that if you're, I don't know how much being a Cleveland fan has to do with it. I think you're probably okay with that series.
Yeah.
They knock off Detroit and the Yankees aren't in it. That's the best outcome you could have.
There you go.
Without your team still moving along. So, but it's great baseball. As you mentioned, Seattle burned up their game 1 starter last night.
Yeah, Gilbert, right?
And, Gilbert to go.
He wasn't even the one that finished.
Right.
They had to use
Exactly.
another arm after
they had
that.
to go after that too. But, you know, there's a lot to like in Seattle in terms of what they've done with their starting pitching. You know, they've got Castillo, they've got Wu, they've got a tough lineup. I mean, you know, I look at them as you know, a pretty big challenge for anybody. Like you said, game 1, they got to go on the road. They burn an arm. We'll see what happens, but you live to play another day for the M's, and that's what it was all about last night. And hats off to them. You know, you talk about making moves at the right time to procure your spot. That's exactly what Seattle did. Really, when you think about it, going back to the deadline, both of these teams did what you'd probably want to see your team do if they're leading the division race or, you know, threatening for a wild card or, you know, posturing for the postseason. They went out, they made adjustments. They said, how can we improve? And they found dance partners to do it with.
Yeah, and I think that's maybe what Tigers fans are going to be screaming at their front office and management for throughout the winter and off season. It's, hey, we were up in the division. Obviously, the September collapse, you know, that is what it is or was what it was. But if you're Detroit, you had an opportunity to really bolster what at one point this year was an impressive lineup. Obviously, some of those bigger names struggled last night. You had Gleyber Torres, Spencer Torkelson, and Riley Green all go hitless in the loss last night. Parker Meadows as well for Detroit. But you had an opportunity to add to that, get some more arms in a bullpen that had been up and down throughout most of the regular season, and he just didn't do it. They just, I think, relied almost too heavily on what they had coming up throughout the minor leagues. And, you know, we know that well in Cleveland, right? Prospects are all well and good, but they're prospects for a reason. You really don't know what you're going to get from a lot of these guys once they get to the big league level. And that's why I think you go out and get proven big league talent at the deadline when you know you have a chance to legitimately compete. And I think that's a deadline period that Tigers fans are going to be really upset about for maybe a long time, depending on how this core ends up shaking out in Detroit.
Well, ironically enough, if you remember back to last year, they jettisoned Jack Flaherty at the deadline.
Yeah.
He became a Dodger, went on to win a World Series, but it was almost like they waved the white flag on a season last year in which they battled back and got into the postseason and came just, well, really about 4 innings away from
Pretty
advancing.
close, yeah.
And
Gave
they
us a
were in the
scare.
same spot. So,
Yeah.
you know, I think that's sort of back-to-back years where you're thinking to yourself, if you're Detroit, if not now, when? Because their window, while there, I don't think lasts beyond next season with who they have.
Yeah, it's going to get interesting in a hurry for the Tigers, but I know us as Guardians fans, we don't necessarily mind seeing the trials and tribulations of Detroit Tigers baseball. So, hey, I see Mike Elder has joined us in the queue right below us. Coach Mike Elder, I should say, head man for the Avon Eagles. So I'll tell you what, Coach, hang with us for another minute or so. Let's get a quick sponsorship timeout and thank you. And when we return, we'll talk some Avon Eagle football. They had a 34-0 win over Amherst last night, and Coach Elder will join us next after this timeout to talk about it. Again, Rocco, Nuosci, Jared Kozar here with you live at the Chronicle Telegram on this morning's Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back.
At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford this month, you choose. Right now, get the Escape, Mach-E, Mustang, or Bronco Sport for only $399 a month with 0 down, or the Bronco, Explorer, or F-150 for just $499 a month. At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford, we make it that easy.
High school football in Lorain County is all about tradition, pride, and community, and that's what Stewart's Appliance is built on. For generations, Stewart's has been the family-owned appliance store you can count on for quality products and personal service. From refrigerators to washers, ovens to dishwashers, Stewart's has what you need to keep your home running. Proud to support Lorain County and proud to support high school sports. Stewart's Appliance, where community comes first.
Lorain County Community College is where you'll lock in your future success. We've helped thousands of people just like you match skills and experience with a career. We can help you train for a career that is in demand right now. You can even work in your field while taking classes. LCCC will get you prepared, get you credentialed, and get you working. Lorain County Community College. Your goals, your career, your future. Enroll today.
Back on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show, Rocco Nuosci, Jared Kozar here with you. Big thanks to all of our sponsors this morning, Nick Abraham, Elyria Ford, Lorain County Community College, Stewart's TV and Appliance, EcoTree Services, and our friends over at Cobos Insurance Center. One more head coach to get to here this morning. Last, but certainly not least, it is the head coach of the Avon Eagles, Mike Elder, who joins us here on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Coach, as always, we greatly appreciate the time this morning. I know we didn't have you on last week, but 2 weeks ago with Ron Yance and I, you were a little more mobile than you seem right now. You were in the car, you were on the move, and a little more firmly planted here this morning with a nice backdrop behind you. Where are you at this morning?
I'm watching the JV game. I'm turning around for you guys. That's what we got.
There
going.
you go.
That's what we like.
How about
So
that?
yeah, I was on the sidelines. I set an alarm so I didn't forget about you guys, and thank goodness I did because I would have forgot again. But the alarm is the key for anybody who struggles to remember things. I set alarms for major things, so it went off, and I came over and jumped on with you guys.
It is amazing how quickly that lesson hit me, Coach, right as I began college at the University of Akron, when it's very easy to forget things when you start college, right? That was like, oh, man, I need to start setting alarms for some things. And you're exactly right. That is the key for remembering major things, meetings, things of that nature. You just set an alarm, and there's really no way to miss it if you do that, right? So
Absolutely, especially when you're in the middle of a football game that you're on the sidelines, you start getting involved, and then all of a sudden time gets away from you.
There you go. There you go. Well, we won't keep you too long because we know you like to take in the JV action. But 34-0, you guys winners over Amherst last night. And as I read the recap here from Tim Gebhardt in the Chronicle Telegram, got to start with the defense, right? I mean, that's a group that you've talked very highly about throughout the course of the season. I know there was some change in the offseason on that side of the football, just with starters and things like that, as there always is with high school football. But that's a group that, man, did they come to play or what last night, really limiting what Amherst and their quarterback, Cy Christensen, were able to do offensively. What was working on that side for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, that was a very inspired group. Mark Perez put some stuff out about Ty Christensen and, only the third passer in Lorain County history, over 7,000 yards. And honestly, that's a wonderful accomplishment. And he's a great quarterback. But when you're Avon at this time, you're always looking for some type of incentive, and they gave it to us. So our kids were pretty inspired yesterday to try to shut him down. And again, he's a great player and had a great career. And I think he's got a good shot of winning the next two and getting them in the playoffs. So not a knock on him, just was an inspired group that wanted to get after the quarterback and play really well against, one of the best passers in Lorain County history.
Well, and really, Coach, it seems like a performance like that, you need all levels of the defense to perform well, right? You need the defensive front to get after it. You need the linebackers to fill well. You need good coverage in the back end from the secondary. Really seems like you got that last night, kind of a complete performance all around from your guys.
Yeah, we did. We certainly, up front, we're getting better every day. And, Ryan Stolarski, he's down at Miami of Ohio where he's committed to, and our back end secondary, second to none. So we have a state championship level defense. We really do. And I told our guys over the next several weeks, we have to continue to grow and get better. And I don't know that we'll win every game, but we have a chance, and that's all you can ask for. You got to be lucky and good. I think we're good. I still think we can get better, and we will. And that means every game we get in down the stretch here, in the playoffs, hopefully we've got a good shot of winning.
Mike, you talk about a complete effort defensively, and you put 34 up. The special teams unit contributed to that a little bit. You had good luck in the kicking game. Talk about that during a Week 8 process where you're really kind of jockeying for what's going to happen in the postseason, knowing that it could come down to a field goal at some point, and you've got to be prepared.
Yeah, Jensen Petro kicked the 45-yarder last night, and honestly, we got backed up with a hold. It kind of killed a drive. We were able to throw a screen and get ourselves back in field goal position. It's so nice when he walks on the field and makes a 45-yard field goal instead of punting in that situation. You have an opportunity because it was 4th and long. And then I made a big mistake down on the 1-yard line later in the game where we were going in for a touchdown. It was 3rd and goal, and I called the wrong formation and booted to nobody. So for a moment there, my players were mad at me. My coaching staff was mad at me. I was mad at myself, and I actually had to turn to the officials for comfort. But that backed us up, and he was able to get us another 35-yard field goal as a result. So, and he put like 4 balls in the end zone. He's kicking it at an all-Ohio level, and we're lucky to have him. He's a great weapon.
Boy, it's not every day that you're having to turn to the official of all people from comfort, right? That's weird territory for you, my friend. So
they were ghosting me on the headsets. I just didn't flip the play. And listen, on a serious note, like that's something I didn't sleep well over last night. I pride myself on making sure you do those things right. And we make mistakes as coaches as well. And I made a big one down on the 1-yard line, and it cost us. But we got 3 points out of it because of Jensen.
There you go. Well, and I think, Coach, that speaks to, I mean, we talk all the time about the little things and all the details that go into making your program successful. We talked with Mike Rice, the Columbia Raider head football coach, to start this morning's program, and he was kind of echoing that same thing, right? Even when it comes down to taking care of your equipment, right? Just making the locker room clean and nice looking, right? All those small details. And I think that kind of speaks to what you just said. It's one play. It ultimately wouldn't have necessarily made a difference on the scoreboard, win or loss wise, for you guys, but still that's one small detail that's keeping you up. And I think that's the kind of fuel for success that's really propelled this program to where it's at now.
Yeah, I mean, we're chasing perfection. That's what I tell our guys, and that doesn't exist. You're never going to be perfect. We recognize that, but we're chasing it, and we're looking for every angle to motivate ourselves and to grow and get better. And it's a rivalry week for us. And heck, I was listening to you guys on my way to Columbus yesterday, and I listened to your show, and I heard I don't remember his name. I wrote it down because he was talking about Highland and how last year they didn't really lose to us. They just kind of ran out of time. And so I've got that recorded, and I'm going to share that with our players if that ever comes to fruition. So we're always listening. We're always looking for motivation. And I've got an inspired group of guys who work exceptionally hard. And they, it's fun when you're the favorite all the time to find some billboard material.
Uh-oh. We lost him, I think.
I think we can reconnect. Hopefully, there we go.
There he is.
We got you back, Coach.
Hey, Coach. Sorry, we lost you for a half second. We heard you're always looking for the billboard material, and then that was the last word we heard from you. So sorry for that.
Yeah, no, it's just when you're the favorite in a lot of games, you got to make sure you keep your edge and attitude. And I told our players from the get-go, we're not defending a state championship. That was last year. That's over with. No one can ever take that from us. It's awesome. If you're defending something, that means you could lose it. That's ours forever. We're never taking that away. So we're hunting a new one. We're hunting new moments. We're hunting our 10th straight conference championship, which we could wrap up if we beat our rivals. We're hunting a win against our rivals. We're trying to win our regional championship again. And as of right now, many people don't think we're the best team in that region. So that's exciting to us. And then obviously we're trying to get back to where we were last year. But that's the way you got to look at it. You got to be on the aggressor. You got to be on the attack. And I think we got a bunch of hungry kids right now that are out to prove that this version of the Eagles is just as capable of doing what we did last year.
Mike, in regard to that comment about the Highland game from last year, if you liked it and you find it motivating, that was me. If it was a problem and it's challenged, that was Michael Keith. Okay, he was the guy that said that, Michael Keith. So,
hey, in all fairness, listen, no one has more respect for Highland's program than I do, guys. Them and Wadsworth, everybody we play, our SWC opponents, I respect and think those guys are great. And so, the truth is, though, we're looking for people to say the right words for us to have a little chip on our shoulder, and that's just football. It's nothing personal. I don't like you any less. I actually love the comment, as a matter of fact, because there was some truth to it. But at the end of the day, we'll see. I mean, we're hoping we get another shot at that. We'll see if we can make it happen. We got a lot of football to play before we can even worry about the Highland Hornets. That's for sure.
Coach, and one of the things that goes along with that, and maybe, the theme of what our conversation's been about, being prepared and, having a plan and a routine. Let's talk about it. These guys are student athletes, and I think sometimes the student part of that gets lost. And, you're 8 weeks in roughly to the academic calendar now, and maybe these guys are seeing some success in the classroom. Their confidence grows because they know they're doing the right things in preparation to go out there and be a football player. You can't be a football player if you don't have the grades and you're not doing it in the classroom. So talk about how those two things have to really complement each other in order for that young man to have success.
Yeah, I mean, we're blessed in Avon to have great kids from great families, and typically our kids get good grades. But at the end of the day, we have a motto. Our coaches understand this, and they know what it means. We always tell them we coach kids, not football. And by the way, we're really good at coaching football, but more importantly, we're coaching young men. We're not just trying to develop good football players. We're trying to teach them life skills that these kids will carry with them, and they'll look back when they're 35, 40 years old and say, man, I really developed some work ethic and some habits through the game of football. And we're very intentional about it. And I do believe that if you coach kids, not football, they all matter to you. It's why we have 107 kids on our team who are willing to stay on the team, even though you don't see them on Friday nights. They're helping prepare us and allowing us to practice certain ways that other schools without the numbers can't do. So every kid has a role. Every kid needs to be a star in their role. And I think our guys buy into that. And, we have study tables in our first one. I'm embarrassed to say, if you had a D or an F in a class, this was like 4 weeks ago, you have to go, and we had 43 kids at a study table. Now, for some kids early in the semester, that's you didn't turn in an assignment, but that's unacceptable. You would not come to football practice. So last week, I just went up there yesterday. It's an hour study table, and we had I think 9 kids there. And so we're on them all the time and making sure they understand the important things are the important things. And football is just a carrot that we get to dangle in front of them to develop successful young men.
There you go. And I think that builds very special relationships. I see all the time on Twitter shouting out guys making their, collegiate debuts or whatever. Matt Maxey, I know just last week, right? He had his first catch for Kent State. So, and I know you made a note about that on social media. And even in person, I know at one of our remote shows a couple of years ago, you ran into a young man that you used to coach, and I saw you guys having a nice conversation. So it certainly speaks to the relationship I think that you guys build when you coach kids and not just football. So awesome stuff. Coach, I'll let you go on this. And I got to ask, because for once, I have the numbers on my side with this whole Steelers-Browns rivalry. I know you and I, we fall on the right side, right? Right, with the black and gold, Mr. Browns over here, Jared. But what do we make of this matchup Sunday? Kind of feels like it's sneaking up on us. We didn't really have a whole lot of, throughout the week hype revolving around this one, it doesn't seem.
Yeah, I'll tell you. First off, thanks for announcing to the world that I'm a Steeler fan. There's already enough people who don't care for me because of my success here at Aon, and I don't blame them. I think they got to know me. They might make me a little better, I think. But there's some people who already don't like me. Now they know I'm a Steeler fan. That gives them a real big reason not to. But I think the Steelers will be okay. I think the Browns, obviously, defense is exceptional, and I expect it to be a low-scoring affair. But we'll see. Right now, the Steelers are in first place, and the Browns are 1-4, so there's not much they can say, I don't think. But we'll win in Pittsburgh, but I doubt we haven't beaten them in Cleveland in a while.
Yeah, that's been where the offense for Pittsburgh goes to die, it seems like, at old Cleveland Browns Stadium. So, Coach, thank you very much for the time this morning. We greatly appreciate it. We'll let you get back to JV duty. But, again, thanks for joining us, and have a great rest of the weekend, my friend.
Hey, thank you, guys. We appreciate you, and you guys do an awesome job. And I enjoy listening even when you're hopefully.
Michael Keefe gave you the billboard.
I got his name written down. I actually told my wife, hey, text that name right down there because I want to find that information if the time comes. Hey, listen, it might never come, and he may prove himself right. So we'll see.
We'll see. Thank you again, Coach. Appreciate you. That's Mike Elder, head coach of the Avon Eagles, kind enough to share some time with us this morning. That is hilarious. he's got, because it was Mike, right? That was the. Was that both of you? Oh man!
Notice I said might have.
Might have. Right. Well,
I laid out the parameters. If it works, it was me. If it wasn't, you were offended by it.
Well, and as Coach Elder kind of half joked about there, that may end up coming to fruition, right? I mean, that's why they play the games, and I think he's exactly right. I mean, it's football. It's all, fun and games. None of it's ever really personal, and I think there probably is some truth to that. Look, when you've had the success that they have at Avon, that can certainly get into the kid's head, and I think he does a good job of really kind of, segregating seasons from one to another, right? He has been very vocal throughout this year about, hey, we're not defending defending the state title, as we just heard him say. Like that's last year's team. That's last year's team's accomplishment. This is not an entirely new group, but it is a new group nonetheless. And they got to get after their own achievements in accolades. And, sometimes with as much success as they have, you need the little extra kick or jump start or whatever it may be to try to get over that hump each and every week. And give him credit, man. He finds a way to do it. He finds a way to do it.
In our conversations with Mike throughout the year, one thing that's really been the common denominator is that they're hunting. And he wants it to be that way. We're in pursuit of this. It's not necessarily rest on your laurels. It's not that at all.
Right.
We are in pursuit.
Yeah, no question about that. So certainly appreciate his time here on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. I'll tell you what, we'll step aside, take one more timeout, and when we return, maybe we'll talk some Buckeye football for a couple of short minutes as they get set to head to Illinois today, a noon kickoff there. We'll maybe quickly talk about next week's action here on WEOL. 3 great games, as always, on our WEOL streaming network, and we'll tell you about those after this timeout. Again, Rocco, Nuosci, Jared Kozar here with you. One more segment for the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show after this timeout. We'll be back.
At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford this month, you choose. Right now, get the Escape, Mach-E, Mustang, or Bronco Sport for only $399 a month with 0 down, or the Bronco, Explorer, or F-150 for just $499 a month. At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford, we make it that easy.
Hi, Tim Elkhorn, radio voice of the Cavs. For several years, you've heard me talk about Eco-Tree Services on WEOL. Recently, I needed trees removed, so of course, I contacted Eco-Tree. They did an incredible job. The folks at Eco-Tree were timely, efficient, and the work was flawless. Take it from me. When your trees need attention or even require removal, contact Eco-Tree Services. Like me, you'll love their work. Find Eco-Tree Services online at ecotreeservices.com.
Are you undecided about your future and overwhelmed by the options? Well, don't worry. You're not alone. Lorain County Community College has helped thousands of students just like you find their future career. From short-term training programs to transfer options all the way to bachelor degrees, our programs are designed to set you up for future success. Lorain County Community College. Your goals, your career, your future. Enroll today.
Back here on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show, Rocco, Nuosci, Jared Kozar here with you, winding down the show. Hey, big thanks to all of the head coaches who joined us this morning. It was exciting Week 8 action in and around Lorain County. So, again, congratulations to all of the head coaches who won last night, and a big thanks to those who joined us here this morning. And, as always, a big thanks to our sponsors, Nick Abraham Elyria Ford, Lorain County Community College, Stewart's TV and Appliance, Eco-Tree Services, and, of course, our friends over at Cobos Insurance Center. Jared Kozar, my friend, I believe you have a special shout-out that you have just been itching to get out since we kicked off this morning. What do you got?
Certainly have, and this is a big accomplishment. Normally when we talk about accomplishments for this individual, usually it happens around athletics on the hardwood on the girls' side. Amherst Comets girls basketball coach Dave Zavara celebrating 50 years of marriage to his lovely wife, Debbie. So congratulations to them. 50 years ago today, Dave won the proverbial lottery, and Deb made a regrettable decision. But in the end, I think everybody got what they wanted out of it. 50 years of marriage. Dave did something right.
You have to
during that span, and certainly things have gone well. A lovely daughter, a superstar grandson out of it. So maybe Deb said, yeah, I got what I needed out of this, Dave. You really helped out from that part. I'll take it from here. And thank God she's the one that makes the decisions over there for the most part, because we'd all be in trouble otherwise.
Well, and I tell you what, 50 years, obviously, first and foremost, Coach Zavara, congratulations, my friend, on that accomplishment. But him and the missus, they probably clean up when it comes to the anniversary dance at the wedding receptions, right? When they start going through the year, all right, if you've been together 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, right? And it gets whittled and whittled down further and further. They probably do pretty well on that front. I bet you they're one of the last out there, right? On more occasions than not.
Everybody knows that Dave Zavara is synonymous with Showtime. And I'm certain that that's part of what they've worked on over the years and perfected that craft.
Showtime Zavara, huh? There he is. There he is. So excited to cover some Zavara hoops this season. Again, we've talked a little bit of basketball, but we'll be hitting him up for rosters and previews here sooner rather than later, right? So always exciting. But no, seriously, congratulations, Dave, my friend. 50 years, man. That is I'm much newer into my marriage than that, but may have to hit him up for some long-term advice at some point here sooner
He's
rather
helped
than
you out
later.
in the coaching ranks. Maybe he can help you out with relationships.
Sure.
Certainly, much like Dave, you've punched above your weight in terms
Thank
of
you.
the marital game.
Thank
And,
you.
so maybe he just, it was some sort of symbiosis, gave it to you somehow prior to you actually tying the knot. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. Appreciate that. A couple minutes here left on the show. Again, a big thanks to all the coaches who joined us here this morning. Buckeye football at noon. They're in Illinois to take on the Illini. Next week on WEOL, let's talk about our YouTube game here real quick. It's North Ridgeville and Amherst. Where's that one at? I know we just looked at it. That one is at North Ridgeville. Yep. Okay, so Amherst goes to North Ridgeville. And playoff implications again here. I think North Ridgeville sitting prettier than Amherst is right now. Correct. In that regard. I think Amherst kind of really needs to win that one in terms of just trying to get in to the postseason picture. But North Ridgeville, when you talk about maybe trying to host a playoff game, win over Amherst would go a long way towards doing just that, wouldn't it?
Well, they want the bye too. They
right.
really want to control that. But you're right. It's an interesting storyline because Ridgeville is still playing for something in terms of incentive. For Amherst, yeah, they're sitting at 4-4. They're even. They got to scratch out 2 more to get in. I think 2 more really puts you at least in control of what you want to do without needing a whole lot of help.
Sure.
If you come in there at 5-5, it's a different story.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I would agree with that, no question. So, and again, as we talked about with Michael Keefe, our Stream 3 Medina County matchup next week will, I think, be for the Cleveland West Conference as Buckeye takes on Rocky River at Rocky River, again, right down the street from my house. So that'll certainly be an exciting one to take in as well. And right now, our scheduled Stream 2 game will be Avon Lake at Avon. We'll have some discussions throughout the week to see if we stick with that matchup. But again, 3 more games on WEOL next week. You can find us right here on WEOL.com, also on that Chronicle Telegram YouTube channel. And then again, our stream games exclusively online over at WEOL.com. So about a minute left here. Jared, what do you got on the docket for this Saturday, my friend? I'm sure you'll be taking in some Buckeye football at noon. And then what do we got?
Well, it's Buckeye football. And then the rest of the day, you kind of just meander around and find a game you want to watch. I mean, there's a lot to do. Certainly, there's things that need attention at the Homestead. There always are. Those are always put off to the next day, and then the next day after that, and the next
Sunday morning. Yeah, Monday afternoon. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, I know how that goes.
I'm the league leader in that category. So
someone has to.
That's what I have going on. But a couple of different things. It's just right now again. We're not meteorologists, but it's just so amazing that you've got this mild fall right now.
It's awesome.
Get out there and enjoy it while it's there because there probably going to be some rough months ahead. So, let's enjoy sunny and 65 today in whatever capacity. It'd be really great if the Buckeyes had this in hand by about 3:15.
There you go.
Get out there and say you did something else.
There you go. Well, I will be following along the Buckeyes on my phone more likely than not, as I will be heading down to Zippyland down there at Akron. Again, we're taking on Miami, Ohio. So excited to take off and catch that one. So thank you. Appreciate that. So that'll do it for us this morning. That'll do it for us this morning. Again, a big thanks to all of our head coaches who joined us. Really appreciate the time. And again, one more time, a thank you to our sponsors. They are Nick Abraham, Elyria Ford, Lorain County Community College, Stewart's TV and Appliance, Eco Tree Services, and our friends over at Cobos Insurance Center. So for our sponsors, for all of the head coaches who joined us this morning, for Jared Kozar, I'm Rocco Nuosci saying thank you for watching another episode of the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Have a great, safe weekend, everybody, and we'll see you guys next Friday night for some more high school football right here on WEOL.com and on that Chronicle Telegram YouTube channel. Take care.
At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford this month, you choose. Right now, get the Escape, Mach-E, Mustang, or Bronco Sport for only $399 a month with 0 down, or the Bronco, Explorer, or F-150 for just $499 a month. At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford, we make it that easy.